California and California Speedway, the Golden Anniversary celebration continues. The National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing is observing its 50th anniversary in 1998, and ESPN salutes them. We are live at California Speedway in Fontana as the Winston Cup season continues with the 10th event of 1998. It's the California 500. Going into this event, Rusty Wallace maintains a 36-point lead on his teammate Jeremy Mayfield. First 5 separated by 73 points, and 6 through 10 is separated by 70 points. Some 90,000 people have gathered here from Southern California and around the nation to see the second time that these NASCAR Winston Cup drivers compete here. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, and consistency, you know, is the key to winning the Winston Cup in any season. In the top 10, we have seen 5 drivers with a win this year. However, all drivers in the top 10 have also experienced at least a finish of 23rd or worse.
For Super Team owner Jack Roush, the opening week to the 98 season began rather painfully. Fielding a whole fistful of teams, Jack hoped to gain strength through sheer numbers. In Las Vegas, his Fab Five, led by Martin, all rolled home in the top 10. But fame in the fast lane can be fleeting, because Winston Cup racing rewards consistency, which thus far is the missing element from this talented Taurus team. For Penske Cranofus drivers Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield, this early season run may reflect luck rather than logic, or fortune as opposed to fate. Definitive proof that Roger Penske perfection involves simply preparation, personnel, and a passion for points. This dynamic duo seems almost invincible. Even though near misses like last week's 19-car crash may have temporarily clouded their view, their eyes remain focused on the task at hand. The focus for these talented teammates today is to finally get a Winston Cup win, the first of a career for Jeremy Mayfield, the first of the year for Rusty Wallace. Many believe that one of these two will accomplish that task today. Will it be the quiet kid from Cranofus or the proven pro from Penske? It'll take 500 miles before we know.
Look into Dale Jarrett's eyes, you'll see the will of a winner. His crew and his course are steadied by a quiet and often hidden hero in Todd Parrott. He has 1 win this year, 16 for his career. He races with past champions, hoping to be the next one. Now, in the glare of NASCAR's glittering golden celebration, Jarrett is driving his dreams and team to a new level. It's an uphill climb to a Winston Cup championship, but with care and consistency, Jarrett is climbing closer to the top. Only time will tell if he ever sees his goal. This season, Dale Jarrett has fought his way forward from the back pits, from the back of the pack. This weekend, he must fight back from a severe bout with the flu and a qualifying crash. Friday, 1 lap in round 1 to lock up a starting spot, but Jarrett's car slipped and slammed the wall. So now Dale must battle back again in a backup car from back in 36th spot. What Jarrett doesn't need is a backup plan, because this one is working just fine, thank you. 5 top 3 finishes in the last 6 races. Be patient, pick up points, because when the season is over, you don't want to look back and say if.
The first 9 races of the NASCAR Winston Cup season have provided a number of things, including a fierce manufacturer's battle, despite a slight Chevy advantage in the wins column. Ford's new Taurus supposedly has a downforce advantage. NASCAR got its ruler out and made some changes to balance the scales. Each manufacturer has won its share of races, and the battle between them is closer than ever. And as they roll into California, a couple of deciding factors, not aerodynamic magic, will determine the winner. The track surface here at the California Speedway provides a lot of grip. That, plus the fact that the tires don't wear much, puts the GM cars on almost equal footing with the Fords. Regardless of the make of your car today, though, the key is handling. Several GM teams say the Fords still have a slight advantage over them, but it's nothing that a good team with a good setup can't overcome. And then there's the fuel mileage issue. Last year, Jeff Gordon was able to stretch his gas 55 laps on his last pit stop, and he won the race. Now let's go upstairs to our Winston Cup champions, Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons.
It seems like every time we go to the Michigan Speedway, we talk about fuel mileage because there's so few caution flags, not many wrecks. This is only the second trip to California Speedway, and already fuel has become an issue. But Ned, fuel consumption, you don't start worrying about it during the race. You got to start worrying about it days in advance, and it does cost you to worry about it.
Yeah, it does. You have to prepare the car, certainly on Sunday morning, for fuel mileage to get better fuel mileage, but it will rob you of performance on the racetrack. Some of the things that you have to do to get better fuel mileage, you put smaller jets in the carburetor, that robs you of horsepower. You put a higher gear in the rear end, that's going to rob you of speed off the turn. So a lot of those things you have to compromise on. It might only be 0.05 or 1/10 of a second on each lap around the racetrack, but sometimes that can be huge.
Mike?
Thanks, Joe. On behalf of the over 6,200 NAPA stores across the United States, our great country, gentlemen, start your engines.
And with those words, a huge roar from pit lane and a huge roar from the spectators that have gathered here. It's time to start in just a few moments the NAPA 500 here at California Speedway. We'll introduce the 43 combatants when we come back in just a moment. ESPN Speed World coverage of the California 500 presented by NAPA is brought to you by NAPA Auto Parts. At NAPA, we keep America running. By Quaker State Motor Oil. For what you drive, the choice is clear. And by Briggs & Stratton. Put more power into your lineup. Make sure all of your outdoor power equipment has a powerful, dependable Briggs & Stratton engine.
Let's take a look as the cars roll off the pit road. Let's take a look at the track analysis.
NASCAR, it is our 50th birthday.
2 Mile Oval. The front stretch, 3,100 feet, different than the back, Ned.
Yes, it is. Just 2,500 feet on the backstretch, and the track is very wide. You can see the banking in the turns and on the straightaway, but the track is wide. That's one reason they get such good gas mileage here. They don't have as many caution flags.
250 laps of racing here this afternoon, and the most important item there on this page is the pit window, 46 to 53 laps.
Yeah, that's really critical because let's face it, if you can go 50 laps, Ned, you're going to save one pit stop.
Yes, you will. If you're one of those guys in that 46 lap bracket, you're going to have to make an extra pit stop.
In case this thing goes caution flag, goes caution free all day.
In the field for today's race, 14 Chevys, 22 Fords, and 7 Pontiacs. Chevrolet is on top of the manufacturer's battle by just 1 point. Here now is the Walmart EverStart starting lineup. Jeff Gordon has his first pole of 1998. And starting alongside of him will be Jeremy Mayfield, the pole winner at Texas. Row number 2, Mark Martin, a 2-time winner this season. And Rusty Wallace, 5 top 5s in 98 in the points lead. The third row, Johnny Benson, his best start of 98, and Joe Nemechek, who was on the pole for this race last year. The fourth row, Bobby Labonte, last week's winner at Talladega, and Ward Burton, his first top 10 of 98 was last week. The fifth row, Terry Labonte, second last year here in this race, and Morgan Shepherd, his second straight top 10 qualifying performance in 2 different cars. And we look through now the rest of the field, and we've already talked about how wide this racetrack is, just like Michigan. And we mentioned yesterday during the Winston West race and during happy hour that the groove, it seems like, is wider this year than last year. We have had some rain, however, overnight, so it may be a pretty green racetrack that these drivers face today.
I think it will be, Bob. I think the first few laps of the race, the groove will be fairly narrow. And you see why the front stretch is longer than the back stretch, because of the D shape. And right now, these teams caught a tough break in the fact that the wind is blowing behind them down this front stretch. So they'll be turning a lot of RPMs when they get down to turn 1. Some of them may be turning a few too many.
That is the fastest part of the racetrack, is going into turn 1.
The track is 75 feet wide, and you see the field divided into twos. Look at Dale Jarrett back here in the 8th row, and the other drivers that took provisionals, including Brett Bodine and Michael Waltrip. Randy LaJoy, who's had real great success this year as a provisional. Wally Dallenbach will drive the car normally assigned to Todd Bodine. And look who starts scratch on the field, Dale Earnhardt, with the previous champions provisional as the 43rd starting spot.
Yesterday he was good in happy hour, Bob. His car was good in that practice, so we'll look for him to come up through the field.
4 drivers were here, failed to qualify for the race, including Hut Strickland, Tony Raines, Dave Marcus, who was given the award the Ironman Award at the big gala celebration last Friday night, and also Rich Pickle failed to make the field.
Got a death grip on that green flag. He's ready to go.
Our onboard cameras today will be right along with Randy LaJoy in the Budweiser. Also Jeff Bodine, Phillips Electronics onboard camera. Bill Elliott in the McDonald's Ford. Get wild, go McRib, it says. Morgan Shepherd, the first Union onboard camera. Bobby Labonte, the Interstate Batters car, carries his Circuit City onboard camera today. Rusty Wallace, our Miller Lite onboard camera. Roof cameras, we go by the start-finish line. And right beside him, as he looks at the pole sitter, is Mark Martin in the Valvoline Ford. And that's the sight that you always want to see on the start. Nothing in front of you. That's Jeremy Mayfield in the NAPA onboard camera.
Last-minute reports from the pit area. First, Jerry Punch.
Guys, are you superstitious? Do you believe in numerology? Do you believe certain events are an omen? Well, Michael Kranifus does. He told me that in yesterday's Kentucky Derby, the horse that won carried number 2. The horse that finished second carried number 12. A good omen for Penske Kranifus here today. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Tires could be a big factor here today, and here's why. Some teams have stickers, some teams are running on scuffs. These are Ward Burton's tires. This is a set of sticker tires that they will run if they get a caution flag stop. But take a look up here. They scuffed tires here on Saturday. This is a set of 2. This is set 2. It's for a green flag stop. It's 4 tires. They've scuffed these so they'll be race ready when Ward leaves the pits. He won't be able to scuff them under green. John?
Bill, at the back of the field, Richard Childress Racing. Now, Mike Skinner, who's still coming back from the injuries that he suffered in the crash at Texas, got in the car, qualified at 27th on Saturday, but he's still got some stretched ligaments in his neck or tendons, and so the concern there is they don't want him to have a wreck and re-injure that. So Mike Dillon starting that car, the 31 car, dropped back. It will start alongside teammate Dale Earnhardt. Took a past champions provisional, but as Ned mentioned, Dale and the crew were pretty happy with that car after happy hour on Saturday, and they think they can make their way to the front.
Partly cloudy skies, very pleasant weather here in Southern California as we get set to run 500 miles in the California 500. The field moving through turns 3 and 4. The pace car off the racetrack.
They're waiting. They're waiting. Gotta hold back. The green flag is up.
Positions before he can get back in the throttle.
Well, he wisely just got totally out of the throttle, got that thing back under control. Was in a lot of positions. Well, maybe he has a flat tire or something. I don't know. But I think now he's going to maybe try to get back up to speed. But that was about to be a big wreck.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon has the lead of the race. This is the 6th event that he has has led in 1998. Let's take a look at this incident up in turn 2.
There we see Morgan up in the loose stuff. Loose. Elliott almost runs in the back of him. And you're right, Ned. He just backed off the gas, got everything under control, and then proceeded forward.
If Bill Elliott had touched him, just barely touched him, it would have been a wreck. But Elliott was able to get slowed down before he did hit him.
Already about a half-second lead for Jeff Gordon over Jeremy Mayfield and Rusty Wallace. They're all lined up here in the first group. Second group, however, some side-by-side battling.
Kevin LePage, the 91 car on the outside. Bill Elliott follows it. Robert Presley in the 77, Ricky Rudd. Kenny Irwin trying to make it 2 abreast.
On board with Bill Elliott.
Bill seems to be sort of feeling his car out in that second groove right there. At least unfortunate for the racetrack. Now he doesn't have any choice, though, does he? He's on the outside of the car and still side by side back there in that group of cars.
We saw Jimmy Spencer. There's Ernie Irvin alongside Spencer, and Ricky Rudd's 2-3 abreast with Kenny Irwin on the outside down in turn 1.
Ricky Rudd clears the traffic. Here comes Kyle Petty on the inside of Kenny Irwin.
Irvin got a good run off the corner and gains some on Kyle up the straightaway, but has to back off going into the turn.
Jimmy Spencer on the outside of Kevin LePage. Spencer with a second place finish last week at Talladega. Here are the speeds in the top 5 as Jeremy Mayfield had the fastest lap that time around, 179.6. Jeff Gordon at 179.3.
Try to continue his move forward, but go back up front. We see that Jeremy Mayfield's closing in on Jeff Gordon. And Mark Martin's right there on the back bumper of Rusty Wallace. There's what a back bumper looks like.
And out the back of Wallace, looking back on Mark.
That's what a front bumper looks like.
That's right. Has been cut down between first and seconds, down to about 0.3 of a second now as Jeremy Mayfield tries to cut back with Jeff Gordon, and Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin watch from third and fourth position. 6 of 250 laps completed. They're the top 10. We'll take a break and be back in just a moment with more of the California 500. No changes up at the top 4, at least, since you left us. Jeff Gordon continues to maintain about a 0.3 of a second lead on Jeremy Mayfield. And the best battle really on the racetrack right now is this one for the third position. Mark Martin has looked like he was ready to make a move on Rusty a couple of times recently, but can't do it.
He's taking a look, but you're right. He gets a run off the corner, but as he gets to the straightaway, the Miller Lite Ford just seems to pull away.
See how low Mark Martin is running on the racetrack right down next to that white line.
And that's the run I keep talking about. He gets that run off the corner, but not enough run to get by Rusty Wallace.
He was too far behind him going into the turn to get enough coming off. You see Mark can keep his car just a little bit lower than Rusty's.
Meanwhile, another member of the Roush team, that is Johnny Benson, running in 5th position. Behind him, Joe Nemechek.
Nemechek in 6th position.
Terry Labonte is next. That is Terry Labonte in that strange-looking paint job.
Kenny Schrader has moved up several positions recently.
Yeah, he's up to 9th. He started in 15th, so Schrader has moved up 6 positions, and Jeff Burton there in the 99 car also has moved up to 10th from 21st.
Walter started 27th, now 25th.
Jeff Burton moved up 3 positions in the very first lap and then continued to pick him off, and right now is in the top 10 chasing Kenny Schrader. And maybe about to make a move on Schrader. Gets down to the inside here in the tri-oval area, pulls alongside of Schrader and passes him and takes over 9th.
Able to keep the car just like his teammate Mark Martin right down on that white line.
And behind them, Darrell Waltrip and Sterling Marlin. Mike Speed and Kyle Petty running together on the track.
14th and 15th. Mike Speed had a good run going in Talladega last week.
Unfortunately got caught up in that wreck.
In the wreck, like almost half the field.
There you go. You're looking good. You're beginning to put a view about a car and a half on for now.
Listening to communications between his spotter and Lake Speed. There's Ricky Rudd and John Andretti running back in 16th and 17th position. And Rudd has also gained a few spots since the green flag dropped.
On NASCAR Today, David Spain talked to Ricky Rudd. He said, "I'll tell you what, I'll just pick you to win the race."
Bobby Labonte is making a move on Jeff Burton and successfully gaining the 10th spot. Darrell Waltrip coming to the inside of Jeff also.
The 99 car has got to have a problem because just a moment ago he had passed Schrader, was continuing toward the front. Now Schrader has passed him back along with Bobby Labonte and Darrell Waltrip.
Yeah, he was heading towards the front. And all of a sudden, don't know if the car got loose. The handle went away on it.
Well, of course, Jeff Burton had early problems last week at Talladega, ended up finishing 43rd and lost 6 point positions because of that.
Benny, it's overcast here now, and when they practiced yesterday afternoon, it was very warm, the sun was out, and of course they set their cars up basically for that. It'll make a little difference in the handling qualities of the race car. If the sun should come out later, you might see some cars that will be tight during this cloudy period, and the sun comes back out, make them loose again.
Loosen the car back up. That's exactly right. Right now, some of the cars might be just simply too tight. Now it looks like Jeff Burton is able to keep up. It's like he got in the corner down there and got the car loose or something.
Exactly what happened. He made that great challenge from 21st up into the top 10, and going into the corner, he got a car right underneath his back bumper, and that got him loose, and so that cost him, he had to back out of the throttle. It cost him a couple of spots on the racetrack. They are talking about possibly making an adjustment. They're talking to Frankie Stoddard right now about possibly tightening the car up when he comes in.
So now the car seems to have the speed, continue toward the front as it pulls down to past Darrell Waltrip.
And many times what you do in a case like that, you change your driving style just a little bit. You change the entrance to the turn, maybe how fast you go into the turn or the angle that you come off or something like that. So you adjust to how the car is reacting at that time on the racetrack.
Well, maybe old DW was going to make a move on Bobby Labonte there in the tri-oval, but instead dropped back behind him. But Waltrip is showing some strength here in the early going.
Went in 11th spot, exactly where he qualified.
Let's check on the progress of both Dale Jarrett and Dale Earnhardt, who started toward the back of the field. Earnhardt starting last. Here he moves to the inside of Kevin LePage.
Kevin's one of those drivers that's going backwards right now. His car apparently not handling too well.
And he picks up the 30th position. Earnhardt has moved up to 30th.
Dale Jarrett right in front of him, 29th from his 36th starting spot. And in case we haven't told you, Dale Jarrett battling a stomach virus or something, been not feeling feeling well all weekend.
Hadn't eaten anything for about 3 days. I don't know how in the world he's going to manhandle that car for 500 miles here this afternoon.
Let's go in the Tabasco hot zone and check with Morgan Shepherd as he touches the brakes. See what kind of RPM he's getting. Down the front stretch. This will see our maximum RPM, our maximum miles per hour. 187. Should get up somewhere around 200 miles per hour down in turn 1.
Got about 195.
And we see him touch the brakes. Folks, that's so the car will not push. When you go in the corner, if you just touch the brakes, that'll hold that car on the bottom of the racetrack. Now we'll accelerate down the backstretch, and we'll see that the wind is going to cause a problem.
Hey, look at this. Jeremy Mayfield has blown off Jeff Gordon going into turn 1.
Mayfield becomes our second leader of the race, taking over the advantage on the 22nd lap.
Still hasn't led a lap because I think Gordon was the leader the next time by. Rusty Wallace still in front of Mark Martin.
Now that battle for position continues. Here comes Waltrip now. A few laps ago he had a good run. Now he's got a better one as he passes Bobby Labonte, and Jeff Burton tried to pass both of them.
Well, he decided that was not a good idea, and I think he was wise in making that decision, so he decided to let Darrell go ahead and make his pass, and here goes Mark Martin going for third.
Just about ready to take over third spot is Mark Martin, and he does so.
Well, he was very patient. He raced Rusty Wallace for, what, 20 laps or so, and finally, now they're beginning to get hungry everywhere, Bob.
Yeah, for the first 20 laps or so, everybody was relatively content to ride along for a while, but now they're getting really racy. Here's Waltrip again moving inside of Bobby Labonte.
Labonte moved on the outside, tried to pass DW down on the outside. That's about their 10th spot.
And they're almost 14 seconds behind the leader, and their pit crew is keeping them abreast of where they are. Bobby got very loose there and had to under evasive action, but they say, hey, the leaders are getting away, guys. You need to go. So
Bobby Labonte loses a couple of positions there. Jeff Burton also passes him, and there is Jeremy Mayfield, and he's built up about a half-second advantage on Jeff Gordon. So Jeremy is the second leader of the afternoon as 23 laps have already been completed. Jack Roush looking on his contingent. They're the top 10. We'll be back with more in just a moment from Fontana, California. Back to ESPN Speed World Live coverage of the California 500 presented by NAPA. We're on board with the leader of the race, Jeremy Mayfield, looking back on Jeff Gordon. Interesting statistics regarding Jeremy Mayfield and his first 9 races of 1998 compared with all of last year. And another very interesting statistic, in his complete Winston Cup career prior to this year, he had led 102 laps. His career began Winston Cup back in '93. This year alone, in only 9 events, he's led 164, and he is adding to that total at the moment.
I would guess that Jeremy Mayfield has to be the surprise of the 1998 season. And folks, it's no surprise, Mark Martin has run these two guys down right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon. We've been watching their computer, their scoring monitor, and each and every lap, Mark Martin has been running faster laps in these first 2 cars.
And he's been running over 178 miles an hour there in the 177 mile an hour bracket.
And he moves by Jeff Gordon to move into second spot. Jerry Punch.
And I fully expected to see the 6th car go by the 24 a moment ago when Mayfield passed Gordon. It was because Gordon's car was getting loose with Mayfield tucked beneath the back of it. And Jeff said, why take a chance? I don't want my car to get loose and lose it in the corners. So when I saw the 6th car pull up on him, I fully expected the 24 to let the 6 go, because right now he is going to have to make it to the first fuel stop and try to make an adjustment. There's also traffic right on his back bumper. The 24 does get a little bit dicey in the corner.
Well, that's what we saw, the 6th car pull up behind Jeff Gordon in the middle of 1 and 2, and Gordon had to chase the car up the hill because it was getting loose, which allowed Mark Martin to drive by. We see Bobby Hamilton, the Kodak Film Chevrolet, handling problems early, going a lap down.
And earlier, Wally Dallenbach was lapped down. Jeff Bodine, or rather Brett Bodine, came into the pits with a bad handling problem and is back out there. He, however, is 2 laps down. Bill Elliott and Ernie Irvan 7 are running together out there pretty closely.
That's the battle for 16th and 17th. Bill has it. Ernie wants it. That's the way it works in this business.
He's got that car on the track while Elliott maintains the higher line. Just ahead of Bill is Sterling Marlin.
Ernie is alongside, takes the spot away.
I'm just glad to see Bill Elliott out there after that incredible crash that he and Dale Earnhardt and several others dealt with last week at Talladega.
It was amazing. He is back in his field as well as he is. Just knocked the wind out of him in Talladega. Bruised his chest a little bit, but nothing major. Sterling Marlin up in front of these two guys. The Coors Light Chevrolet. That's Felix Sabata's car.
By the way, Marlin has been a first quarter nominee for the NASCAR True Value Man of the Year award. He's involved in many charitable groups, has raised almost $500,000 for the charity benefit program. So he'll be among the nominees for the year-end award from True Value, the official hardware store of NASCAR. Check the speeds at the line. Mark Martin still continues to be the fastest.
Jeff Gordon was faster than our leader that time as he follows. There's we see the leader, Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy last night in Happy Hour, we interviewed him. He said his car was just perfect.
Yeah,
here we are.
He said he was trying to make it better than perfect. I wondered how he did that.
Exactly. And Randy LaJoy looks back and sees Jeremy Mayfield. That's something you do not want to see as they go by. Here's Mark Martin right on the back bumper of Jeremy Mayfield.
Randy LaJoy hasn't found himself a lap down very much since he took over this car, but he does drop a lap down now in 39th position. LaJoy has 3 top 10 finishes in the 5 starts that he has had in this car this year. Substituting, of course, for Ricky Craven.
The Kodiak car also goes a lap down.
Looking back from the leader, Jeremy Mayfield, but is he going to have the lead for long? Martin up alongside once again to challenge for the top spot, and I think he's going to get, yes, he led that lap by just a nose.
Attaboy, Mark, that's the place to do it, right in front of the paying customer.
So he has those 5 bonus points for a lap.
It's a 4-car battle. Rusty Wallace is also caught up, and he is now in 4th position. Take a look at how the Roush cars are running. 1st, 9th, 27th, 29th, and 5th.
Jerry hanging right there with Mark Martin. And Gordon hanging there with both of them.
Meanwhile, these 4 cars, and look at Jeff Gordon closing back up in the race. These 4 cars will pull about a 2-second advantage on their 5th place car of Johnny Benson.
And another guy that's got a good run going is Johnny Benson, not too far behind in 5th position.
2 seconds. If he can just get those guys, those 4 guys up there to start racing each other, dicing, he'll be able to close in soon.
Remember, we told you the pit window somewhere after lap number 40. 37 laps are in the books right now, so the pit window is approaching rapidly. And while we await that, we'll take a break. As Mark Martin leads Jeremy Mayfield, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, and Johnny Benson in the California 500, presented by NAPA.
Join us here at the California Speedway. You are riding aboard the car driven by Mark Martin. You are leading the race and looking back at 2nd place, Jeremy Mayfield. And the interval has grown to almost a second between 1st and 2nd.
And that's what 1 second looks like to Jeremy Mayfield.
Rusty Wallace, and he looks ahead to his teammate. Rusty is about 2.6 seconds behind the leader and about 1.3 behind second place Mayfield.
Martin, the leader of the race, he closed in on the back bumper of Morty Shepherd. As we see our AutoZone on-track interval between Martin and Jeremy Mayfield, we see that Martin 40.5, 40.5, 40.4, 44.4. That one lap 41.1 obviously was in traffic, but you see how consistent he is those other 4 laps. And Mayfield, the best he could do was 40.5. Although those 2 laps were consistent, both those lost ground to Martin.
In 13th, 14th, and 15th position, Bobby Labonte, Jimmy Spencer, and Ernie Irvin. And Irvin and Spencer have been battling for position for quite a few laps now, but Ernie can't seem to pass Jimmy.
All this is going on about almost 23 seconds behind Mark Martin.
Spencer started in 28th position, so he's made a good move towards the front. Currently running 14th.
I understand the 40 car may have a problem. Sterling Marlin, some smoke has been seen coming from that car. We don't know what type or coming from where, but there it is.
Yeah, I've seen it out of the back of the car. It looks like he might have brushed the wall. Looks like it might be tire smoke. Well, I can't tell. We'll have to try to look at the right side as he goes by. Can't tell.
No. I don't know what the deal is, but it's not good. Anytime you see smoke like that, ooh, boy, yeah, when he went in that corner, it does look like maybe from the right front.
Yeah, obviously sheet metal is rubbing the tire. That's the smoke that we see.
Boy, that is not good. Not to be out there running the speeds they run here with something rubbing your tire.
Back in 17th position. Here's a Napa field summary showing you where everybody is in the point standings right now. Jeff Gordon is running in 4th spot and has gained 2 positions. Terry Labonte has lost 1, and so has Dale Jarrett, who's running back in 24th. 6 through 10, the 2 drivers who have moved up, Jimmy Spencer to 9th and Ken Schrader to 10th spot.
As Mark comes off the corner to complete 46 laps on Rick Mast going down pit road, so pit stops have started.
Rick Mast just was lapped, so he's decided to come in. We show you this Napa field summary because there is a tremendous consistency between track position out there and where you are in the points. And so we want to show you how people are moving up and down in the point standings as we go through the race. The manufacturers battle there and the rookie battle, turning it out to be a very, very good one this year. Kenny Irwin is on top right now. Down to John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt making his first scheduled pit stop. A pound of air in the right rear, also a track bar adjustment. Car just a little tight, going off right side tires only. Chocolate making sure he gets all the fuel in. Earnhardt has already made up 16 spots out there. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Pines.
55 miles an hour for the 28-year-old driver of the Mobil 1 Ford Taurus, Jeremy Mayfield. He said the car was awfully good, a little bit free in the middle of the corner, so they're making a very, very minor air pressure adjustment to tighten the car up from the middle of the corner off. Right side tires have already gone on. Jack going in. Now watch the gas can man. As Ward Burton is out, Jeff Burton is down pit road, as the 12 car comes off the jack and is down and away. Ward Burton following Mark Martin out on the pits. Here's Jeff Burton with the crew changing tires on the right side. Now they swing around to the... they do not change left side tires, and Jeff Burton is away. Rusty Wallace, meanwhile, is there, Jerry. Scheduled pit stop for Rusty Wallace. He had run 48 laps. You'd like to be able to go 50 and make it on 4 pit stops. Right side tires going on the Miller Time Ford Taurus. Now, the catch can man and the fuel man are critical. They finally get the fuel can in, trying to get it completely full of fuel. Left side tires, great pit stop. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Darrell Waltrip getting a wedge adjustment to right side tires. Of course, he's a fuel mileage king, so he'll go ahead and take 4 to try and make up time on the racetrack. The Pennzoil Chevrolet filling with fuel. It's in, waiting for the lug nuts, and Darrell Waltrip's team is having trouble with the left front. It'll take a longer time than they wanted, and the Pennzoil car returns to the track in the 6th pit. Jerry Penn.
Our leader, Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. Jimmy Bennington, the car is just so good. We're not going to change a thing. 4 tires, get it full of fuel, clean the windshield. Should be purely routine. While I was right behind him, his teammate Johnny Vincent is making a major track bar adjustment to loosen his car up coming off the corner. Now Martin is off the jack. Let's go to John Kernan.
Dale Jarrett's crew, right side tires, also a chassis adjustment on the right rear, and also a track bar adjustment down the way after finally getting the last drop of fuel in the quality care car. Down to Jerry Punch.
Our pole sitter in last year's winner brings the DuPont Chevrolet to a halt, and the Rainbow Warriors scamper over the wall. Remember, we told you Gordon's car was loose. They put the handle in the right rear. They are going to make a wedge adjustment to tighten up the 24. His car loose in traffic. Right side tires are on. Now they scramble to the left side. Left front tire, left rear tire. Clock is ticking away. Get it full of fuel. And the defending Winston Cup champion is off the jack and away.
Right side tires going on the Tide Ford for Ricky Rudd, and the fuel going in. This will be just 2 tires. Spencer is away. The 10 is not the fastest, but maybe one of the best on fuel mileage. Very long stop for Kyle Petty. They have problems on pit road for the 2nd consecutive week.
Wow, a flurry of pit stop activity here.
Okay, there's Joe Nemechek in getting service on his Bell South Chevrolet, and it all came from around 48 laps, 47 laps to we're now on the 52nd lap.
But the jackman fell down, has to hurt the pit stop as he goes around. He bumped with the right front tire changer, and the slip down that has to cost him valuable time in the pits.
Joe Nemechek did lead 2 laps during the pit stops. Bobby Labonte's crew working on the Interstate Batteries car on the left side now with the tire changes. And again, they had to jack it up there. A 21.1 second pit stop for Bobby Labonte. He rolls again.
The tire man could not get the tire on, had to jack it up just a little bit.
Now, the crews have an idea of what kind of fuel mileage they're getting. How do they determine that?
Well, they do it by scales, actually. They know how much the gas can weigh. They know how much it weighs full of fuel. And they now, after the race, after they put the gasoline in the cars, they weigh the fuel can to see how much was left.
Well, all this has resulted in Rusty Wallace with the advantage over Jeremy Mayfield. Ward Burton is running 3rd, followed by Jeff Gordon and then Mark Martin. So pit stops have been completed. First round, 52 laps in the books in California. Rusty Wallace in the Miller Lite Ford, car number 2, leads the California 500, and he is trying to put a lap on Bill Elliott, who's down in 27th position. Let's check our pit summary. Mark Martin lost 4 positions. Jeremy Mayfield stayed the same. Rusty Wallace gained 2. Jeff Gordon stayed the same, and Johnny Vincent lost a spot.
Remember when Rusty Wallace made his stop and the graphic we put up on the screen? It said 16.8 for that pit stop. I don't know. Maybe I've seen it before. I don't remember seeing a 16-second pit stop before. So, Hollywood, Bill Wilburn, you guys did a terrific job changing those tires.
The 22 car of Ward Burton is having a good race so far. Bill Weber.
Certainly is. Bobby's had an extremely good run from the drop of the green flag. On their pit stop, they took 2 right side scuffed tires and made a small track bar adjustment. Ward was a little loose in the center of the turn, so keep your eye on the MBNA Pontiac, just 2 right side tires. Further down pit road is Jerry Punch.
Kenny Schrader actually ran out of gas coming out of turn 4 in the 33 car on lap number 50. He came down pit road, moving the car back and forth, left and right, to try to slosh enough gas to keep it running. That's why they only changed 2 right side tires, so they wouldn't lose any more time here in the pit. A near miss for the Schrader team. They certainly now able to get back out and stay in the top 10.
Well, there's a battle for 9th position going on there between Jeff Burton and Kenny Schrader. Terry Labonte took over the 8th spot as they worked through some slower traffic, including Morgan Shepherd there in the 46 car.
see Dick Trickle, a Heilig Myers car, back in 35th spot, a lap down.
Check the Tabasco hot zone information here from Morgan Shepherd. Doesn't appear to be on pace with a lot of other cars out there.
There's a lap down to these cars as we see the RPM mile per hour down this front straightaway. And once again, wind is blowing this way. Should be the maximum. Almost 8,900 RPMs. Didn't see the mile per hour.
195.
So he probably would be around 190 down the backstretch. That's how close I am. 189.
You were way off a whole mile an hour. But everybody is pulling away, it seems, from at least the leaders, not keeping up with the faster cars.
So the leaders are either turning more RPMs or have a different gear ratio in the back than, say, Morgan Shepherd does in a first union car.
Here's Rusty now with a 3-second advantage on Jeremy Mayfield. Mark Martin lost positions in the pits, but he's coming on strong. Here is Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon doing battle for third.
As they come by the line, this battle is about 6 3/4 seconds behind the leader, Rusty Wallace.
On the bottom of the racetrack, gets a good run off the corner, passes Jeff Gordon. Both of these drivers, by the way, have led so far today. We've had 5 different leaders besides Gordon Mayfield, Rusty Wallace, the current leader, and as we mentioned, Joe Nemechek led 2 laps while pit stops were being made. Let's check the speeds again as the cars hit the line.
Rusty Wallace, 178.174. We see Jeremy down to 175. Obviously some traffic that time, and Mark Martin and Jeff Gordon passed each other. That's the reason that their speeds are down.
Second fastest though to Joe Nemechek, and third to Jeff Burton.
But for Rusty Wallace, the critical number is he is still the fastest car as the leader.
That went past the 50 lap mark before they came in for the pit stop. How will that play into the race if it continues to go under green?
Well, it's 250 laps. If you stop every 50 laps, you only got to do it 4 times. If you've got to stop on every 49 laps, you got to do it 5 times.
Now, Rusty Wallace stopped on the 48th lap. Oh, we got a caution.
So much for the all green. It is a debris situation, not a crash, but the caution comes out for the first time. Michael Walter almost lost a lap, but now gets a real break because of this caution and stays on the lead lap. He's down in 25th position.
And you saw that 21 car, just that few car lengths that he beat Rusty Wallace to the line. Folks, that was worth 2 miles.
That's right. First caution coming out on lap number 65. So the track crew moves out now to clean up the debris. We'll take a break and return with more in just a moment. At California Speedway in Fontana. Beautiful overhead shot courtesy of the Pennzoil copter cam. There you see the more than 86,000 grandstand seats there on the right, and of course there are several hundred if not thousand more in the infield. We did have some pit stops during this caution period, which is for debris, and we'll show you what happened.
See, Rusty Wallace brings him down. All the cars on the lead lap, there were 28 of them.
And the fuel mileage thing goes out the window if this thing goes green the rest of the way, because they were 15 laps past a window, so they should be okay as far as that's concerned.
There's Rusty in front, the crew going to work on him.
Now a couple of cars are pulled in front of Rusty Wallace. Right here is the line of they're racing to, the white line. First one there is the leader, and it looks like it's Mark Martin, Ward Burton, Jeff Gordon. Joe Nemechek will come out 5th. And is that Rusty that's just now going across the line?
Let's take a look at the pit summary. Rusty Wallace, yes, he lost 5 positions in the pits. Jeremy Mayfield also lost 5. Mark Martin gained 2. Jeff Gordon gained 1. And Joe Nemechek stayed the same. So Nemechek doing well on the track and in the pit area. 66 laps completed. We'll take another break and be back with more live coverage of the California 500. More racing tonight on the Deuce at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. The finals from the NHRA Castrol Lone Star Nationals from the Texas Motorplex in Ennis, Texas. Amato, Randy Anderson, Warren Johnson, the defending champions, and we're going back to green here at California.
Cars on the lead lap.
Ted Musgrave, the first car lap down, jumped in right behind Mark Martin. Hoping that if we get a quick caution flag, he might be able to get that lap back. As we see Jeff Gordon on the outside of Ward Burton trying to take away that second spot. And look at Benson just squeezed in there.
Updating pit stops down here. The guys that took on 2 tires were Jeff Gordon, Johnny Benson, Joe Nemechek, and Mark Martin. The 4 tire changes came from the 2 and the 12 car. What a break for both of the Penske Cranafus cars, neither one of which probably could make it 50 laps on fuel. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Strategy really paying off for Ward Burton. They got 2 rights under green, then just needed 2 left sticker tires under the caution. Put in the fuel, 9.02 seconds. Sterling Marlin has been on pit road. They lost a fitting on a power steering fluid hose. They've capped that off. Now they're going to try and add more fluid to it when they get another chance. Further down pit road, John Kernan.
Bill Jarrett came in, took on 4 tires, and made a chassis adjustment. The car is still just a little bit tight. We've been telling you about the problem he's been battling this weekend with the fluke. He feels as good as he can. Dale Earnhardt also 4 tires. They made a slight air pressure adjustment because that car is still a little tight off the corners. But both of those guys, after starting near the back of the pack, have made their way into the top 20.
Jarrett running 15th. Earnhardt is 17th. And Jeff Bodine had a very good pit stop, and he's running in 13th position at the moment. 31 car of Mike Dillon is a lap down in 31st.
Well, it looks like the sun might be about to pop through here through the clouds on a portion of the racetrack. That could make a difference. John Kernan mentioned that DJ's car was a little bit tight. Well, that'll probably loosen it up a little bit if the sun comes out.
Bill Weber told us that Sterling Marlin had an oil power steering fitting brake. That was the reason for the smoke we saw earlier.
Big pack of cars here. Ken Schrader on your left, then Spencer, Little, Irvin, Bobby Labonte.
Bobby Labonte's in 12th spot. Ernie's in 11th spot. The 97 car is a lap down. He's back in 29th spot.
He had just gone a lap down a few laps before that caution came out.
And there's Nemechek trying to find his way back to the front. Down on the inside, goes by Bobby Labonte, or tries to.
Just after the green came out, we saw Joe get way up high and lose a lot of positions, Ned.
Yes, he did. Up in turns 3 and 4, he got very, very high. You had to get out of the accelerator, I guess, and he did lose a number of positions. Now trying to gain them back.
Joe is up to 10th.
Irvin trying to move her. He's in the 36 car, trying to move around Ken Schrader.
That's 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th right there. Nemechek wakes it 3 wide into turn 1.
Boy, Nemechek does have a good race car today. Because if you dive down on the inside like that, 3 abreast, you're destroying your angle getting in the corner. And the driver understands that and is hesitant to do that because he really is afraid to get down the corner with no angle to get in. Nemechek was not hesitant at all to drive down and make it 3 wide.
And once he cleared those cars, he separated himself quickly.
Bill Elliott trying to move on the outside of Jimmy Spencer. That didn't work. Spencer now clears him and goes on the way.
Well, it's another car that's a lap down. McDonald's car is back in 28th spot. There's Spencer going by Schrader, trying to go by. He does.
There's bogging the body around Bill Elliott.
Notice up in the upper left of the screen where the Fords are running. First, third, fourth, fifth, and 11th. And indeed, Ned, the sun popped out there for a moment.
Yeah, there is a portion of the racetrack that has the sun shining down on it, and that portion of the racetrack will become a little bit slicker than when we had the cloud cover over.
Just a small spot over turn 2 right now is in the sun. The rest of the racetrack is under cloud cover.
Car of Jeff Burton is running with the 40 car of Sterling Marlin. That is 20th and 21st position.
Well, we see him there behind Dale Jarrett. He goes in the corner. Oh, wow. Looks like he gets up in the loose stuff and almost loses control. Jerry Punch?
Manny, that's exactly what happened. I came down here to ask him what the problem was, and I was walking along beside Jack Roush. As he asked him, they told Jack that they had a terrible pit stop. They got him back in all that traffic, and now the car is very loose. When someone gets behind him, the car wants to break free. So we saw the result of that. He almost went up across the racetrack and got some concrete. That's what they told Jack Roush, and I don't think they'd lie to him. He signed their check.
Up front, it's Mark Martin looking to get back on track. 5 races from Rockingham to Texas. He had 5 finishes in the top 7, including 2 wins in the last 2 events. However, he was 29th at Martinsville and 23rd at Talladega.
There's a third place car. Benson, Rusty Wallace, Jeremy Mayfield running 4th and 5th. The 2 and the 12 cars, as we ride along with Jeremy on the NAPA onboard team cars. Very seriously that Jeremy would make much of a run on Rusty.
They can run faster running in single file as opposed to racing each other and running side by side. So they can get away from them. You get some drafting effect here, not like you do at Daytona and Talladega, but certainly you can get help from another car in front of you. And 2 cars, they don't hook up together and run bumper to bumper like they do at Daytona. But if you start running side by side, then you are going to run a lot slower.
We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to time the cars, show you their speeds and who's running fastest, and if indeed Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield are catching up to the top 2. Back in a moment. On the left of your screen is Mark Martin. He is the leader of the California 500 with 82 laps completed. The advantage over second place Jeff Gordon, just a little over 3/4 of a second.
Mark Martin told you Friday he really liked this place.
He said, I wish I could make my living racing on this racetrack every week. Yeah, he does. He loves it.
Here are the teammates that are racing together. Jeremy has moved ahead of Rusty.
He said Jeremy maybe was a little bit faster on the stopwatch, so he's going to let him in front and see if they can catch that 26 car of Johnny Benson, who is running in 3rd place.
Like they are closing the interval.
About 0.8 of a second the last time by the start-finish line. We'll see.
It looks like they're closing in.
Benson crosses the line. Here comes Jeremy, and it's down to about a half second now. So they are, in fact, closing in on Johnny Benson.
On board with Rusty Wallace, the current Winston Cup points leader.
And that last lap, Jeremy Mayfield was a little bit faster than the leader. Not much, but a little bit.
5th. Let's take a look at a couple of other drivers that started in the back of the field. There's a car smoking. That's Jarrett. We're checking on
Oh, look at the smoke, Elliott. It looks like the engine has gone away.
A big crash up in turn 2. Just a big crash.
Must be oil from the...
And Elliott is involved again, and the car has flame coming from it. Wow, 2 weekends in a row, a terrible crash for Bill Elliott.
Oh, that's too bad.
And a couple of
once these cars will slow down, they are now. All the cars are by, so
we see him moving around in the cockpit. It's like
bad news. It's also burning in the back.
Yep.
Some of the fires moved to the back.
We have a couple of other cars involved. Kyle Petty has a badly damaged race car in the middle of the track. Bill is still not out of that car, but the safety crew is there.
Thank goodness for that. We see the fluid coming down the racetrack, and it's I guess it's gasoline. It certainly appears to be.
It's oil or gasoline one, because the fire is following as it comes out. Of course, they're about to get it out there now. And there comes.
He says, "Don't hold my chest too tight," he said.
Yeah. It's sore.
Yeah.
From last week.
The guy wanted to grab around him and pull him out of the car, and Bill said, "Wait a minute." Now they're making a little bit of a mess down there on the racetrack.
Well, they are, and they're having a heck of a time getting all the fire to extinguish. The red flag has been thrown.
No, it's not thrown yet,
but apparently
they're
will be.
Getting ready to, I guess.
As Dale Jarrett pulls his car back in the garage area.
It moved up to 13th, and we were about to talk about that, where he was heading, but
yep.
Moved on just as the engine let go.
Now we see Elliott walking away from his car.
Boy, is he taking a beating the last 2 weeks.
He's going to need these 2 weeks off, I'll tell you that. And the car is still burning. They just can't get that fire out.
Yep. Using a lot of solution. All right, let's take a look. We noticed smoke at the start-finish line. By the time he got to turn 1, it was really coming out.
About the time he backs off, going in the corner, and he does not spin. I mean, he does not get any oil under his car, but obviously he put some oil on the racetrack. Either that, or someone gets tagged from behind.
Here you see the smoke and the cars deciding what to do. Elliott, he guts up again on his side like Talladega.
And that's Earnhardt that's spinning.
Earnhardt did spin.
Wow, from Bill Elliott's onboard camera.
Now, he was not far behind Dale Jarrett. Dale had just passed him about 7 or 8 laps ago, and there he sees that smoke.
See, Kyle Petty spun in the oil or whatever and goes up and hits Elliott. Elliott was really okay till Kyle came along. And we see Dale Jarrett leaning on the back of his car and said, "What do I got to do to finish?"
Boy, yeah.
And it's a tough weekend.
It has been a very tough weekend for him physically and on the racetrack. From Jeff Bodine's onboard camera now. Got below the oil, but you can see to his right Dale Earnhardt sliding up. And Elliott walks down the banking to the ambulance.
The same picture we saw last week at Talladega.
Man. We have a lot of disappointed race drivers at this moment.
And crews.
Yes.
Because those guys put their whole life into this effort just like the drivers do.
Well, the leader of the race is Mark Martin, as the red flag has been displayed at the conclusion of 86 laps. A very bad wreck up in the first and second corners here at California Speedway. We'll take a break and be right back. Well, the red flag is out here at California Speedway because of an accident up in the first and second turns involving, among others, Kyle Petty and Bill Elliott. There's the cleanup that is going on down there.
You know, we saw Dale Jarrett blowing up, and we speculated that maybe
he put some oil down that caused that. I'm not sure that happened because Dale Jarrett goes down the corner. Just as he backs off to go in the corner, we see the puff of smoke. So he broke a valve or something, and we see the smoke. If he was putting oil down, I think that Jarrett's car would wiggle just a little bit, Ned.
I agree. I think that he would have spun in his own oil if there was oil coming down. Now, we don't see a trail of oil coming out behind the car. We see the smoke. But I believe what happens behind him is that smoke, they started slowing down, which is the thing that they need to do, and it just becomes a chain reaction type of a situation. Well, there's Earnhardt, though, and I mean, he's spinning, and you know, there wasn't anybody close to him. I don't think anybody hit him to cause him to do that, so I don't know.
It's hard to say. My guess is that Kyle Petty, we don't really know, but my guess is that Kyle Petty backed off because of the smoke, and someone ran in the back of him and spun him. Let's go down to Jury Punch.
Well, DJ has climbed out of the car, obviously dejected from 36 to 13th. Boy, the car was coming. Did you have any idea, any warning at all, DJ?
No, everything was fine. We just got the car freed up some more and felt like that was in really good shape. We were running good lap times and felt like we had a car that, you know, once we got our track position, we could show that we had a car that could at least run in the top 5.
A weekend you want to forget?
Well, you know, you got to go through these type of things. It's just unfortunate. Every time we climb up, something knocks us back down. But got a long season to go, so we'll stay after them.
Go home and get healed up and feel better.
Okay, thanks.
DJ, from illness to accident in qualifying to an engine that comes apart today, 4th in the points. He fought his way back from a terrible start in Daytona to the top 5 in the points, and now this happens here at California. He's going to go home and think about this one, but hopefully feel a lot better before he climbs back in that race car again.
Well, he was not feeling well on Friday when this is what happened during his qualifying run.
Up in turn 3, just a wiggle, it gets around it. So the car that he was driving today was a backup car in qualifying on Saturday. He really couldn't take a chance, had to take a very conservative lap, started 36, but as he said, has worked his way up to 13th and was looking pretty good.
7 finishes, 11 or better for Dale Jarrett, but also finishes of 34th and 40th, and now the unfortunate incident here this afternoon. Back in a moment. The race has been stopped here at California Speedway because of an accident up in turns 2 and 3. Kyle Petty and Bill Elliott, the main drivers involved. Apparently no serious injuries. We're waiting for a further report. You take a look at this beautiful facility here and you think back on what it was before it became a speedway. It was an old steel mill. Boy, what a magnificent speed palace it is. And 98 is a special year in the world of motorsports as we observe an anniversary. Years ago, the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing began sanctioning events. And in 1998, we celebrate its golden anniversary. NASCAR's 50th celebration is brought to you by Coca-Cola Classic, the official soft drink of NASCAR fans. December 7th, 1941, the day that will live in infamy. In the wake of the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. was involved in World War II. Motorsports essentially shut down. Even tracks like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway were closed for racing and opened as airfields. Drivers joined the war effort. And even Detroit car makers shifted their emphasis from automobile production to tank, airplane, and other wartime equipment. On the West Coast, just east of Los Angeles, a steel mill was constructed within a year. A plant capable of producing enough steel for factories up and down the West Coast to launch a Liberty ship per day. After the armistice, the need for such a plant diminished. And by 1983, the factory was ready for demolition. What was once a proud employer in this area came tumbling down. Through the vision of Roger Penske and the guidance of Les Richter, the 529 acres on which the Kaiser Steel Mill once sat now has become a racetrack, and only the water tower survived the transition. Our salute to Roger Penske and Les Richter and everybody who had a hand in building this magnificent speedway. There's the old water tower the way it used to be, and this is the way it is now. Can you believe that magnificent change?
Wow.
That's California Kaiser Steel, located just behind the main grandstand here. This whole property here that you're looking at was a steel mill. Wow. Isn't that something?
Well, they've made a great transformation here, too.
Wow. Well, of course, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of NASCAR with several special events, including the one that was held earlier this weekend here in the L.A. area. And you can see a replay of it tomorrow at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. That's 10 here on the West Coast on ESPN. NASCAR's Night in Hollywood, a golden celebration. Without question, one of the most exciting moments of my life was when I got to go backstage and shake hands with and get the autograph of Dwayne Eddy, who's one of the performers. Now, Sister Sledge was also among the performers, and Benny Parsons introduced them and had the occasion to, shall we say, dance with them. Now, we were told by...
I didn't dance. I moved a little bit, that's all, but I got, you know, they did... We are family. I got to say family a couple of times into the microphone, and it was out of tune in my head, but it was so exciting. Such a great group. Those ladies are so nice.
Terry, Benny's wife, had warned us that he had no rhythm. You know what? He doesn't. We'll be back with more from California Speedway during this red flag period in just a moment. ESPN Speed World welcomes you back to the California 500, presented by NAPA at California Speedway. Being brought to you by Daytona, USA, the ultimate motorsports attraction. By AC Delco Automotive Parts. AC Delco, if you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. And by Miller Lite, to remind you that whenever you feel good, it's Miller time. Just one final period on the big gala last Friday night. We understand that the host of that program, James Wood, is watching us this afternoon and having a get-together with some of his friends. And thank you for your great job in hosting that program. And we are glad to have you as a NASCAR racing fan.
Well, he did a great job.
As he usually does when in his pictures.
Yes.
Terrific job.
Well, there is what's left of Kyle Petty's car. Wow, not much. The driver, however, appears to be okay. John?
Yeah, down here with Kyle Petty. He's been checked out at the infield care center. Kyle, looks like you're okay. Was it some oil out there on the track? Is that what caused the big wreck?
Yeah, you know, we come off a 4 here, and everybody was racing hard. We were already 2 and 3 wide, messing around, and Dale Jarrett had come up through there, and he was making good time, and his car puffed smoke a couple times. About to start finish line, just passed it, and he tried to get down out of the way, and about the time he turned, the bottom came out of it, and you know, just caught myself and Elliott, and I don't know who else was in there. I could hear somebody to my left trying to crank up after I was banged up over there, but you know, I looked over and saw Bill's car on fire, and that concerned me because he's got a bruised sternum and he's real bruised in his chest, and I wasn't sure whether he could breathe or not, and I tried to get out and I couldn't breathe, and just because it knocked the breath out of me. But I think they're going to transport him and check him out just because he's beat up so bad from last week. It's 2 big wrecks he's took, so you know, our prayers are with him. But just one of those days. I hate it for Hot Wheels and hate it for those guys, because we had a bunch of people from Hot Wheels, had them over here playing in the infield at the track zone, at the Hot Wheels track zone, had a bunch of kids over there, so you know, had a lot of people here watching us today, and it just wasn't our day.
Kyle Petty checks out okay, and he's also still okay to do his motorcycle ride, right, Kyle?
You got that right. That's the main thing right now. Get my legs and my arms. My wrist still bends. As long as my wrist bends, I can ride all day, man.
All right, back to you guys.
Well, we found out that there was oil down there, so at least we were able to solve that.
There's the Hot Wheels zone that he was talking about. Again, we take a look at the incident as Dale Jarrett goes down into turn 1.
And just about the time he backs off is when the engine just comes apart. As Kyle said, it just comes apart, comes out the bottom. He gets in the oil and loses control and just ran up into the side of Bill Elliott. Now, we see Dale Earnhardt right in the middle of the screen. He's going to spin. I don't know if he hit some oil or was trying to turn away from these other cars and thought they were coming down the racetrack. There we see Elliott on the right, Kyle Petty on the left, and we see the flames from Elliott's car.
Kyle mentioned that Bill Elliott has taken some really tough licks the last couple of weeks. At Talladega, this is what he had to endure.
Same deal, just like, I mean, Earnhardt got in the back of him, and boom, into the wall. John Kernan, anything on Bill Elliott?
Yeah, Kyle had said that he thought he was going to be okay. Bill's inside. They are going to transport him to Loma Linda University Hospital nearby to be checked out for some x-rays. He's got a couple of abrasions on both sides of his chin and some bruise down here in the lower part of his chest. They think he's going to be okay, but they just want to take him to the hospital by a helicopter and check out to see if he is indeed okay. No broken bones. But right now it looks like, man, he came through another hard crash, virtually unscathed, except for a few cuts and bruises.
Wow, I'm glad to hear that. That's the same hospital, by the way, that Todd Bodine went to on Saturday after he had his, or Friday after he had his crash and was released. So Mark Martin right there on the right is the leader of the race, and Jeff Gordon is second, but we are still under red here with 86 laps completed. ESPN Speed World live at the California Speedway in Fontana, where the red flag continues to be thrown here. Just up the street, Sunday Night Baseball features the Chicago White Sox against the Anaheim Angels. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern Time as the White Sox, 10-17, face the 17-11 Anaheim Angels.
Bad news for the Angels yesterday. Chuck Finley, their ace of the staff, who has won 14 in a row, this goes back to last July, was hit on the arm by a line drive in the 4th inning, had to leave the game, and was to go to the hospital today to get tests to see how the old left arm is going to be.
He's a big race fan, isn't he?
Oh, a huge race fan. I met him up in Charlotte when he was going through the driving school up there, and had lunch with him once, and he invited me out to see a game, which I haven't taken him up on yet. But anyway, Chuck hopes the left arm is okay.
Pennzoil Copter Cam continues to fly over California Speedway, providing these overhead shots. And presiding over this domain here is Roger Penske, who is up on the roof, spotting probably for Rusty, you think?
That's exactly what he's doing. You'd think that, you know, the fact that he is Roger Penske, and this is his racetrack, and his son's and family's racetrack, and stockholders, that he'd be taking care of business. He's taking care of business, Rusty Wallace business.
That's right.
He loves to do that. When he comes to a race, he loves to get up where the spotters are and to be on the headset, talk with Rusty, and listen to what's going on.
He just turned the television screen on. We're under red flag. These cars, as you see, are sitting still. There was a crash about 15 minutes ago up in turns 1 and 2. Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty, both guys are okay, but there's been a cleanup going on.
It's been a remarkable season for Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield. Look at how consistent they have been in the races. Wallace was 5th at Daytona, Mayfield 3rd, on down the list. Pretty consistent there for those guys.
They've run very close together on the racetrack and very close to the front always, too.
Well, there's Kyle talking to his father, King Richard. We just talked to Kyle a few minutes ago. He's okay after that scary crash that has necessitated this red flag period. The cleanup, by the way, is still going on out in the second turn area, so it's going to be a few more minutes. They've got the jet dryer out there blowing some of that material that they laid down to put out the fire in Bill Elliott's car. Okay, well, let's take another break. Come back for more coverage of the California 500.
Cars have rolled once again. The cleanup crew going to its assigned station. Bill Elliott is being airlifted to Loma Linda Hospital to be checked over. He did not appear to have serious injuries, but he will be going to the hospital for further checkup. Now, what they're going to do, they're going to run a few laps under caution here, because the area out in turn number 2 where Bill's car came to rest, they put out a lot of firefighting material, some foam or something, and it can't be blown off with the jet dryer, so they're going to run the cars through it and hope to scrub it in a little bit and eliminate that as a problem. Well, the 22 car, Jeff Burton, looks like is getting a push start.
That's Ward Burton's brother.
Yeah. He's in 7th position when the red flag came out.
Now, the pits were closed, but here the Lowe's Chevrolet number 31, Mike Dillon, is in the pits.
He was pretty close to that wreck. I wonder if he was involved.
Well, he might have been. Earnhardt spun right beside him, and don't know if they touched or not, or if he might have hit something else.
like Sterling Marlin also coming down pit road.
Now, of course, pitting while the pit road is closed, that means they'll have to go to the end of the longest line on the restart. But they're choosing to do that for whatever they need to get done right now.
So is Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt was involved in the incident, John.
Bob, the big problem is the left rear quarter panel. You can see it's kind of sheared away, so Larry McReynolds and the crew, plus there's one of the crush panels inside there. They're trying to put it over, tape that up. The rear bumper cover is basically gone, and Larry says, you know, I've seen that help a car sometimes. He said, but then again, I've seen it hurt sometimes. He said, the way our luck's been, it'll probably hurt us if the bumper cover is missing. Right now, they're applying the 200-mile-an-hour duct tape on the left rear quarter panel. And he did get together with the team car driven by Mike Dillon, the number 31 Lowe's Chevrolet. These guys taking a leisurely time here trying to get it fixed as well as they can. They were able to stay on the lead lap. Now they're going to use a piece of metal and they're going to put some, they've drilled holes, and now they'll put some pop rivets in, hold it in place, and then possibly put some tape over that. But the crew is busy working here trying to get Earnhardt's left rear quarter panel fixed and get him back out on the racetrack.
And you say, why wouldn't they just go ahead and rip that off? Because then it would destroy, just completely destroy the aerodynamics of the car and would slow it down, slow the car down considerably.
31 car is also on pit road, and that's the car that Earnhardt got together with his teammate.
You ever see the 31 car right up on top of the screen, and Earnhardt's going to come in there. Earnhardt is going to spin. He's going up, and he's going to spin right into the left front of the 31 car.
Mike Dillon, it looked like, had got slowed down and went to the high side of the racetrack there. And Earnhardt then, as you say, came in and hit the oil and lost control of his car. Mr. Childers, both of his cars got together.
Earnhardt now has gone back on the racetrack to avoid going a lap down, but meanwhile, another lap down, I should say. Meanwhile, Skinner is on pit road, has lost a lap, and I think Earnhardt is still in the lead lap.
I think so too.
He is indeed still on the lead lap.
Pit road officially is still closed, but as we mentioned to some of these drivers, it is better to take the penalty and go to the end of the longest line. There is the indication that the pits are closed.
That's right. That fellow stands there with a red flag and waves it to the crews and drivers, I should say, and that tells them that pit road is closed. When they open up, he waves a green flag.
Work to do in the pits, so they come in for the service despite the fact that the red flag is waving at the entrance to the pits.
The penalty is you go to the end of the longest line on the restart. So certainly that they're willing to pay that price to be able to do this work. We'll check the next time by and see what flag he waves to the crew as they come off turn 4. If it's the green flag, then we probably will see quite a few pit stops.
Now he will get there. He's bringing out the green flag now. So now pit road is open. And he got the word from the NASCAR tower that it's okay now to open it up. And now we'll see the leaders come into the pits.
All the cars on the lead lap head for their respective pit stalls. Ward Burton, Joe Nemechek coming in along with Ernie Irvin and Jimmy Spencer, Bill Weber.
And Ward Burton and Terry Labonte will be among the first to get to their pits. Originally, this was going to be a 2-tire stop for the MBNA Pontiac, but now they've thought it over. 4 tires for Ward Burton, and they will take 2 rounds of wedge out of his Pontiac. Actually, they're going back to the same setup Ward had when the race began. So they'll make the chassis adjustment. He's got right side tires already. The lefts are going on. Behind him, Terry Labonte is pitting. It's a major overhaul on the Kellogg's car. Those cars are back on their way. Here's Terry Labonte.
They made a wedge adjustment on Jeff Gordon's car, 4 tires, and no adjustment on Mark Martin's car. 4 tires to the 26, only left side tires on the car number 42 of Joe Nemechek. Scott Eggleston said Nemechek wanted 4. I wanted none. We compromised and took 2.
Here's Ricky Rudd. His car apparently won't start. There they got him fired up, and the Tide horse heads on down pit road.
It's been a tough season for Ricky Rudd so far. Not a single finish in the top 5 or the top 10. He has had 3 DNFs, and his average finish, a very disappointing 27th.
And that is totally out of character for Ricky Rudd.
That's exactly what I was going to say then.
Yeah. He's just so smooth and consistent, but just hasn't worked for him this year.
Looking to extend his streak of 15 consecutive years of winning at least one race. Bill Weber?
Okay, the crew told me the clutch pedal broke on the Tide Ford. So if that's the problem getting it started, Ben, is he going to be able to shift that thing?
Well, if he's got a Jericho transmission, yes, he can shift it. I don't really know how he's going to make a pit stop, though, Bill. I guess he could knock it in neutral as he comes in, make the pit stop, and then just let the crew try to push the car, get it rolling, and then jam it in second gear is about the only way you can do it to get started.
Things are not always a ballet down in the pit area. Let's see what happens here with Michael. Whoop.
Ooh, ouch.
Oh, man, landed right on his head.
Man, oh, man.
Those guys really give it their all, though, don't they? Well, we should be going back to green flag racing here before too long in the California 500 from Fontana. ESPN Speed World coverage at California Speedway. And just about ready to go back to green. The drivers have been told that they will go back to green next time around.
You see Nemechek is the leader. Jeff Gordon's in second spot. Rusty Wallace is in third. Well, we can see our pit summary and tell more about it. Mark Marr's now back in fifth spot, went in as the leader. Gordon stayed the same. Benson went back to seventh spot. Mayfield stayed the same. Rusty Wallace gained 2 spots to third.
Bill Weber with an update on Ricky Rudd.
Okay, he does have the broken clutch pedal, and he does have a Jericho transmission. So as Benny Parsons so accurately pointed out, he'll be fine on the racetrack shifting gears, but he will be pushed out of the pits every time he stops the rest of the day. That will cost them a few positions.
Especially if they have to pit under green.
Ready. Green, green, green. Come on, bud. Green.
Kevin LePage has just gone behind the wall as we restart. Musgrave on the inside, the Prime Star car trying to get a lap back.
Nemechek leads the way on corner number 2 and down the backstretch, being chased by Jeff Gordon and others.
Here comes Rusty. Jeff taking a look on the inside of Nemechek.
Jeremy Mayfield also passing by Ted Musgrave.
David Green, the 96 car, taking a look on the inside of Musgrave.
He is also a lap down.
Yes, he is. Here's Mark Martin. We're right along with him on top of the Valvoline Forest.
Wow, look at this 3 abreast formation here. Dale Earnhardt is back there in this group of cars somewhere. Still on the lead lap in 18th spot, just behind Derek Cope. Now moving to the inside of Cope, between Cope and Gary Bradbury.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that it slowed him down much, the problems that he had there. We saw 3 abreast racing there for a moment, but Earnhardt on his way up, tries to move on the inside of Jeff Bodine. That's for the 17th position.
And here comes John Andretti, just trying to drive by Earnhardt, pulls on the inside. Shepard's on 3 abreast. Wow. Morgan wisely backed out of that position. We see Jerry Nadeau on the bottom, and Morgan and Earnhardt just side by side.
Well, Earnhardt's losing several positions there now. Look at them. They're still going 3 abreast.
Sure are.
We keep talking about track position. We talk about how important it is. This is what you don't want, to be back in the pack where those guys are just absolutely fighting for survival. Every car they can pass, it's another position, and also it might save them from getting lapped 15 or 20 or 25 laps from now.
Contrast that, however, with the leaders as they just file past single file, not worried about doing any racing at the moment, but these guys back here in the middle and the back of the pack are fighting for every single position.
And for every fraction of a second that they can get. And sometimes that's a recipe for a wreck.
That's right. That is certainly something that you have to consider also. Kenny Schrader and Jimmy Spencer running side by side for the 10th position.
77 car, the Jackson Angel car just in front of him is 27th, 1 lap down.
And here's a Napa field summary showing you the point positions right now, and this is why they fight for position on the track, because it moves them up and down in the standings. Gordon up to the 3rd position in the point standings right now, and Terry Labonte is down 1. Schrader has also moved up into the top 10. Jarrett, of course, is going to suffer during the remainder of the race because he is already out.
I mentioned a moment ago Kevin LePage had gone behind the wall. I'm told that they had some type of engine problem. It didn't break, but they were afraid it was going to break, and they did not want that to happen. So that's what they put behind the wall.
Summary, Chevrolet on top of Ford, and Kevin LePage is running, of course, for Rookie of the Year honors, and he's a few points now behind Kenny Irwin, Jerry Nadeau in 3rd, and Steve Park on the sidelines, and that's where they're running. Irwin is the running 21st, the best of the rookie contenders right now.
Now Rusty Wallace closes in. This is Jeremy Mayfield, a 4th place car, and every time someone pulls up right behind Jeff Gordon, it seems like he gets him loose. He has to chase that car up the racetrack and give that bottom lane away.
And rest assured, those drivers have seen that already, those who are following, and they just continue to pull on up there and said, get him a little loose.
Mark Martin comes up to join the battle. Now the first 5 cars are nose to tail.
Yeah, Jeremy's getting a run on Rusty.
Well, we pointed out earlier in the last run that he was a little bit faster than Rusty, so he moved in front of him and was able to let both of them go faster. But now they're racing side by side. You see how much Gordon has pulled away while they race side by side.
Jeremy Mayfield started 21st and finished 12th in the inaugural California 500.
Rusty said, now look, Jeremy, please get behind me and let Jeremy, I said, Jeremy's not listening.
And Jeremy said, Rusty, let me go. I can catch those guys up in front. If I can just get by you, I can catch them. But they're pulling away while these guys are racing side by side.
Yep. Mark Martin can't do very much either, can he?
No, they're just blocking the racetrack for him. He's sitting there saying, which one of you guys are going to go? That's the one I'm going to follow. He thinks he's going to be Mayfield, so that's who he's following. Trying to give him a little shove right on past Rusty, and I believe he's done it. Oh, here comes Rusty back.
See, the leaders right now is running 175.5. Those 2 cars running side by side are running 176, so they're losing 1.5 miles per hour.
Now Martin decided to run behind Rusty. He said it didn't work. I couldn't push Mayfield by Rusty, so let me go up here and try to push him on out in front. But it worked for him. He got by Mayfield.
Gordon, who is right behind the leader, Joe Nemechek.
Watch him glance. Watch Rusty turn that head to the right. Glance up in the mirror. He's down the corner now. As he starts coming off the corner, he's got to glance up to make sure he's not going to hit somebody into the wall. See? Making sure there's nobody there where all the cars are. When you look up in the mirror, when you're driving a race car, you look up in the mirror, and that car that was back there, that you knew was back there, if he's not there, you can't find him. It's terrifying.
When he goes into the corner, the centrifugal force just drives him down into the seat, doesn't it?
He sort of hunkers down in there. Martin now sizing him up, trying to figure which way to go. He seems to run a little bit lower line than Rusty, whether that's because the
This car will stay there and Rusty won't, or if that's the chosen line by each driver.
During that whole thing, Joe Nemechek and Jeff Gordon separated themselves a little bit. There they are.
And Jeff Gordon was glad to see that, them race side by side, because we made the point that it looked like when a car got right up on his back bumper, he got his car loose. So now he doesn't have to worry about that if they don't catch him.
And Jeff Gordon is not perfect right now, because when he comes off to now, he ran a pretty good line. The last time I looked up off two, Jeff Gordon was very high on the racetrack, like he was chasing the car up the hill because loose, or the car was pushing. I saw it from an angle not on camera. I really couldn't tell, but Jeff Gordon's car right now is certainly not perfect by any stretch of imagination.
And on the last lap, Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin both ran. They're catching them because they ran about a mile an hour faster than did Nemechek.
Jerry has more on Jeff Gordon. We opened the show today in the early laps telling you about how loose the 24 car was. On their first pit stop, they added wedge to it. On their second pit stop, they added more wedge to it. And Jeff said, okay, on the third pit stop, it's getting better, but we still have a problem. I cannot drive it all the way in the corner like I want to. The rear of the car wants to lean over toward the right. They made an air pressure adjustment after the red flag a moment ago. It's helped it some, but still, when the car gets right behind him, you can see the car gets loose, and he has no choice but to let him go.
You can see Rusty is slowly closing back in. It was a minute, 1.3 seconds a moment ago. Now it's down to 81 hundredths of a second behind Gordon.
Well, here's Ricky Rudd, and despite the broken clutch pedal, he's doing okay on the racetrack. He is running in 20th position, still on the lead lap. Justin Hickman, his late speed is at 19.
Dale Earnhardt, we see the car in front of him. He is currently at 18th spot. There goes Benson by Ward Burton. That's for the 6th spot. Now those two guys need to hook up, see if they can chase down Jeremy Mayfield. Pretty good ways to go. There's how far they have to go.
The top 5 right there, led by Joe Nemechek, who is leading his 4th race of 1998. He's led 15 laps so far in the season. Today, he has led 20. Back in a moment. There you see the top 4, but wait a minute. Where is Joe Nemechek? He was leading when we went to break, and now Jeff Gordon is being passed by Mark Martin down the backstretch.
And Martin once again just pulls up behind the 24 car, gets him a little loose off the corner, and drives on him, takes the lead.
Joe Nemechek was running first, but got way high up in turn number 2, lost some positions, and now Rusty Wallace is passing Jeff Gordon and bringing his teammate Jeremy Mayfield with him.
Same situation. As soon as they pull up behind Jeff Gordon, get a half car length behind him, it gets that Chevrolet loose, and up the hill he has to go to chase it, and they go by.
And you wonder if the same thing happened to Joe Nemechek. Gordon had pulled up very close on his back bumper, and that's why he went from 1st to 5th.
There's Kevin LePage, who is back on the racetrack after spending several laps in the garage area. This is what happened to Joe Nemechek that's put him back in 5th spot.
He's the leader of the race, and you're right. That probably is what happened, because Gordon goes in the corner as close as anyone has been to Joe Nemechek. Got the car a little bit loose in the corner, not off the corner, going in the corner. And Nemechek just went straight for the wall and let the bank slow you down.
Now watch that piece of debris up there at the top of the screen. There it is.
Chad Little ran over it, and that big piece of debris became about 100 small pieces of debris.
Yeah, just tires. Piece off a tire. All right, Jerry has more on Joe Nemechek. Back to 5th now.
Well, guys, what Benny and Ned said is exactly what Joe Nemechek told Scott Eggleston, his crew chief, a moment ago when the 24 car got behind me. He just got me so loose, and I skated right up across the racetrack. That made Gordon the leader. Now, what Jeff Gordon just radioed to Ray Evernham was, once I started leading, my car went to junk. I couldn't do anything. So now he has lost the lead and just trying to hang on to a position.
Yeah, he's about to lose fourth position. Meanwhile, 3 wide racing, Grissom, Rudd, and Lake Speed.
Up 2 wide.
41 of...
Little more.
That's Calvin.
Clear all around. Way to get in there, Lakey. That's pretty aggressive.
Calvin. Talk to it, Calvin.
Keep him pumped up.
All around.
Of course, they're battling for position.
19. On the lead lap, Steve Grissom. Neither one on the lead lap.
Good. Keep digging through the best you can. 4150. Inside, you're looking inside. Looking inside. You need a little more. He's inside. Little more. Still inside just barely. Clear all around. Way to go.
Spotters. Calvin's.
It's better to let him go, you think?
That's the one for Jeff Hyde. Crew chief for the 9 car.
No idea. 3 behind him. Yeah.
They asked, would it be better to let him go? Because right now those guys racing each other. Again, they're
Make
losing
it tired
speed.
of trying, and if he's slower than you, it might hold us up. 4150.
See, both laps, Lake Speed is on 4150.
Inside. He's inside. Go inside.
Now, if the 10 car can get by, and the Lake Speed,
Still there.
9 car follows him. If they run a couple of laps and Jeff Bice says to him 4130, then they know that they're
Still there.
following the 10 car than being in front of them.
He definitely went off to back off just a little bit and let Ricky go.
Still there. One
now,
behind him.
the 41 car was trying
Still
to
there.
push. And just see, certainly
Still
racing
there.
side by side is not the people.
One coming. Inside. Still inside. Still inside.
Well, Ricky Rudd finally makes the pass.
Get behind again.
Well, while all that was happening, Mark Martin opened up a 1.2-second advantage, and this is how he did it. We tapped time lapse 112 to 116. It went from a half second to 1.2 seconds.
And look at all those speeds for Martin. Every one of them is faster than Rusty Walsh's speed. Every time he's a little bit faster than Rusty Walsh. And remember last year in this race, Mark Martin was leading the race going away when he ran out of gas with just about 4 or 5 laps to go.
Mark Martin so far this afternoon has led more laps than anyone else. He just led the 46th lap of the afternoon. Jeff Gordon has been in front 23 laps. Joe Nemechek also for 23. Rusty Wallace for 14 and Jeremy Infield for 13 laps. We'll be right back in California. The halfway point of the California 500 here in Fontana. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some hot summer temperatures, and summer sizzle is an action-packed series that you can see on the Deuce. Tomorrow night at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll focus on volleyball, cross-country, mountain biking, and surfing. Summer Sizzle tomorrow night, 12:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2.
What I like about the summer, the golf ball travels a lot farther than the summer.
And you play in your short sleeve shirt, actually, and pants.
All right, next time around, they will reach the halfway mark. 125 laps completed.
We see him going around the 40 car of Sterling Marlin. He came out of the pits very late after the last restart and has now gone a lap down. So we have 22 cars on the lead lap. Sterling is running in 23rd position.
And Kevin LePage, who has been in and out of the garage area, is back in the garage area.
That's about Wally Dolan back, the 35 car. He is back in 37th spot.
Let's see who's going to win this 10 grand at the halfway point. It is Mark Martin.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Gatorade puts up $10,000 to the leader of the halfway. Mark Martin was the man.
9 different drivers have led at the halfway point only Dale Jarrett, Bobby Hamilton have gone on to win the whole show.
You know, we talked about fuel mileage at the top of the show, and then we said after the first caution came out that took that away. Well, then after that big wreck, it has put it back into the picture. Now, they're going to have to get some awfully good fuel miles. If this thing goes green the rest of the way, they're going to have to go 54 laps each time. So, you know, if somebody can go that far, then they might win this thing if it goes green the rest of the way.
Jeff Gordon has slid back to 5th position. Johnny Benson got around him a few laps ago, so it's Benson now 4th, Jeff Gordon 5th, and in 6th position, Joe Nemechek still trying to catch up from that little slip he had a few laps ago.
You can see that Jeff Gordon's car has continued to get loose because as he comes off the corner, especially off 2, he had to let the car drift up the racetrack. He kept it back in.
Now, the weather conditions right now should be good to help a loose condition because it is totally overcast here. No sun shining on any part of the racetrack at the moment. So that will make it a little bit cooler, and that normally makes tightens the racetrack up. And it just lets some of the tires adhere to the track a little bit better.
Jeff Gordon, despite the fact that he is back to 5th position, still at this point has gained 2 in the point standings. Terry Labonte and Mark Martin continue to be 4th and 5th. Jarrett down 2, Spencer up 2, and Ken Schrader up 1 to the top 10.
Exactly what Jeff Gordon does not need is a car right behind him. He needs clean racetrack. No cars in front and no cars behind.
Another driver who slipped earlier in the race is back up amongst them. That's Jeff Burton, the 99 car. He's in 8th position.
Just past Terry Labonte to move into the 8th position, as a matter of fact. During that last caution flag, I guess they changed some tires and made some adjustments to the chassis, which allowed him to go back towards the front.
He's been down as low as 33rd. The 18 of Bobby Labonte is back in 14th position. He's lost a few positions the last few laps.
This is our Circuit City onboard camera.
Up front, it is Mark Martin with clear racetrack ahead of him and 1.8 seconds back to second place, Rusty Wallace. We'll be right back. Martin continues to lead the California 500 with 133 laps completed. We're watching him from the helicopter hovering overhead and the Pennzoil copter cam. When we went to break, he had about a 1.8 second lead, and now it's up to 2.8 seconds. So he is pulling away from both Rusty Wallace and Jeremy Mayfield.
And right now, Jeff Gordon has fallen back to a little over 8 seconds behind the leader.
The leaders are catching. Morgan Shepherd will check out the telemetry on the Tabasco hot zone.
You see Mark Martin coming up as Morgan Shepherd gets up to 196 miles per hour, goes down in turn 1, touches the brake. Now we saw him running 195, which meant Mark Martin had to be running close to 200 because look how fast he closes on the back bumper of this first Union Chevrolet.
Now Morgan Shepherd is running in 34th place. He's about to go 2 laps down. Did just go 2 laps down. Speed down the straightaway, obviously, Mark Martin than Morgan when we saw.
That's Dick Trickle in a 90 car.
Compare the 2 laps. Mark Martin and Morgan Shepherd, 175.6 and 173.6 for Morgan Shepherd.
That's why I came up on him so fast.
That's right, 2 miles an hour.
And
good battle for 9th, 10th, and 11th. Terry Labonte, Ken Schrader, Ernie Irvan continue to dice it out. Kenny Schrader won the Winston West race here yesterday.
And he said he learned, asked him what he learned, might have learned in that race he could carry over to this race. He said they're changing 2 springs and a sway bar as we speak.
Yesterday we mentioned the new colors on Terry Labonte's car. You notice that it's a little bit different. Well, that's just celebrate the 40th anniversary of Cornelius, the rooster that you see on the car. Bill Weber.
Ward Burton is in his pit stall. Darrell Waltrip will swing around to his right and pit directly in front of him. This will be a 2-tire stop for Burton. They pull off the screen on the front windshield. They're going to make sure they get enough fuel in there. Right side's going on the Pennzoil Chevrolet of Waltrip. They'll also wait on fuel. They agonize when he's left side. Burton's away. Almost spins it. Nearly hits the 1 car. Now Waltrip's got his fuel and he continues down pit road.
Late speed is in. Rusty Wallace coming in.
I see Kenny Schrader coming down pit road.
Down to Jerry Punch.
And we are told that possibly Rusty may be out of gas. He said it sputtered and the fuel pressure dropped, and it is not running as it comes by me. He is coasting down pit road, jams on the brakes, and now they were going to work on the right side. They were going to make a track bar adjustment. Now, because they're being out of fuel, they are not. Kenny Schrader, Skoll Chevrolet, right in front. Right in front of Rusty Wallace. They will change tires on him, clean the windshield. Left side tires going on the car number 2. No adjustment. Now they're trying to get the 2-car fired. They push, push, push. It still hasn't fired. Still hasn't fired. And trying to fire, it coughs and finally fires as they head down pit road.
But it's still not running, Jerry. They still got people out there. Now finally gets the car running, but loses valuable time. Jerry Punch.
Here is Jeremy Mayfield and Jeff Gordon in, hitting about 15 feet apart. Right side tires on the car number 24, the DuPont Chevrolet. Ray Evernham, when talking to Gordon, said, I don't know how much better we can get it. That's about as good as the Chevrolet can get, meaning the car is still loose when he drops it hard in the corner. Left side tires going on the 24 car. A slight Mayfield out of the way. With an air pressure adjustment, Gordon is out, and so are Ernie Irvan as they head back to turn 1 at 55 miles an hour.
Boy, Ernie Irvan had to make a great pit stop there because he was 5 or 6 seconds behind these guys.
I would guess that he had to change 2 tires to be able to gain that much time as Benson comes in. Right side's going on. We see the wrench in there. Jerry Punch.
And Johnny Benson's car had been very, very tight. They were going to try to free it up a little bit. Right side tires had already gone on the Cheerios for it. Benson trying to get another top 5 finish here in 1998. Driving for Jack Roush. The Steve Mill crew down and away. Let's go, John Turner.
Ricky Rose in right side tires, no chassis adjustment now. The car he's running doesn't have the clutch. Remember, they've got to push it, and then he's got to put it in gear. It kills the motor, so now the crew's going to have to push it some more to get it to fire up, finally run his way, but it cost him several seconds.
Joe Nemechek comes in for his pit stop, finds the stall, and the crew goes to work on the right side.
Let's see if they're going to change 4 or just 2. Apparently they're just going to change 2. No, they're running around to do 4. Jerry?
Well, Ned, they had just changed 2 laps the last time, so they were due to come in and get a 4-tire change. They had right side tires that have been on there quite a while on the restart after the red flag. They had to come in and now put on 4 this time.
Pretty long pit stop there, 24.3 seconds.
Mark Martin hasn't pitted yet. Continues to be the lead.
Wow. Boy, this is bad news for these other guys because last year he ran out of fuel to lose the race as Jeff Bodine brings a Phillips car down pit road.
And now finally Mark Martin decides to drop down off the banking and head for pit road. Here he comes at 55 miles an hour.
And Bob, you know, I talked about that 54 laps they needed to run. This is his 54 lap as he comes down through there. He's headed towards Jerry Punch.
And Ned, you're exactly right. They'll have 108 laps to go, 54 more for his final stop. They do not plan on any adjustments on the car. Jimmy Phoenix said the car is absolutely perfect. Right side tires on the car. Correction. They just said on the radio they made an air pressure adjustment in the right rear to try to free the car up. It was a little bit tight, so they rolled the right rear tire over with 1 pound more air. We're going to Bill Weber.
4 tires for Terry Labonte and plenty of fuel. It takes almost that long to get the tires on. They want to tighten him up going into the turns, but he was good coming off of them, and he's speeding down pit road now.
Jimmy Spencer picked up the lead for a while, but now he comes in for his stop.
Jimmy Spencer quietly working his way in the top 10 today, and he's one of the about 5 cars that we've seen come on pit road who can make it with just 1 more stop. They'll go to the right side. They made an air pressure adjustment, and there's a spin on the racetrack. Is the caution coming out? Not yet. Spencer's down and away. Now the caution is out.
There you go. All right, you're clear.
It will necessitate a caution because Dick Trickle's car is up high on the banking.
Didn't hurt anybody, I don't think. I don't think it hurt anybody, Ned.
I don't think so either. The big winner out of this thing, Bobby Labonte, had he pitted? Did we see him pit? Well, maybe he did. Okay, he did.
Something dragging underneath the 90 car.
We see the left front tire is flat, so the suspension is dragging. We see all the sparks coming from it.
So just as the pit stops are going on and most of them being completed, the second caution comes out here at the California Speedway. Back with more in just a moment.
Caution remains out at California Speedway. Dick Trickle spinning and bumping the wall. The pit stops have been completed here as Dick Trickle makes his way back into the garage area.
At the start-finish line, the flagman has stopped Mark Martin. I think that the pace car simply picked up the wrong car. I think Mark Martin, in fact, was the leader, and somehow the pace car got in front of Jimmy Spencer.
Well, Spencer had led a lap, and his number was the top of the board, but he came in and was in the pits, in fact, when the caution came out. And so when he exited the pits, the caution car apparently picked him up as the leader, and he really isn't.
My guess is that Mark Martin has to be the leader because all cars had made a pit stop, and Mark had a considerable lead on Jimmy Spencer. Even if Spencer changed 2 tires, you'd think he still would be in the lead.
Well, we'll sort this whole thing out. Meanwhile, as I said, pit stops have occurred. The cars are now full of fuel. We've been talking all race long about fuel mileage and how important it is here at California Speedway and other tracks like this. It could still very definitely play a factor in this race. Let's present a track fact for you. Track facts are brought to you by Quaker State. For what you drive and the way you drive it, the choice is clear. As evidenced by Mark Martin's pit stop in the lead with 5 laps to go here last year, too often drivers are chastised for their inability to conserve fuel. But in reality, many of the variables that determine fuel mileage are outside the driver's control.
Mike Skinner's win last year in Japan was partially due to fuel mileage. As a crew chief, there's a couple of things I can do to help control that. I can keep as much tape on the front of the car to reduce the drag. The other thing is my radio. I can talk to Mike and tell him to let all the way out of the throttles going into the corners to keep the butterflies closed and save as much fuel as possible.
Here at the rear of the car, this is where the fuel cell is actually located. This steel can has to be 17 by 33 by 9 inches, which equates to 22 gallons of fuel. Now, we make sure we take advantage of every square inch of that fuel to have the full capacity in the car. We also make sure that none of our hoses are kinked, where we can fill those completely with fuel. Now, on pit stops, you'll see the overflow man open this valve with this catch can while the fuel man's filling the car. Fuel will not go in unless that valve's open. But as soon as the car's full, the catch can man pulls that can out, and that shuts this valve. We want it to seal really tight where no fuel can escape on acceleration from pit road. Even when he pulls this can out, though, the fuel man will continue to try to put fuel in the car to make sure this entire dry brake is full of fuel.
But sometimes, despite the efforts of driver and crew, it's still not enough. And Mark Martin apparently is out of gas as Jeff Gordon sets the car into the 3rd corner.
Mark Martin goes by the front stretch, coasted as cars go by. Here comes Jeff Gordon off the corner. Bob, I do believe he's going to make it. Let's see if he can do it. He's going to do it. Jeff Gordon wins the California 500.
That was a year ago here at the inaugural event. Right now, we're 146 laps into the second event. Rusty Wallace ran out of gas, and it was difficult for him to get off pit road.
Oh, there the thing lit up. This thing, if that had been on a green, it was on a green flag situation, but now the caution flag came out, which saved Rusty Wallace.
Well, they still show the 23 car of Jimmy Spencer as the leader of the race. That is the first car behind the pace car. And Mark Martin second, Benson third, Mayfield fourth, and Gordon fifth. We'll sort it out when we come back. ESPN Speed World live at California Speedway for the California 500, being brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. For a legendary steak, fresh fish, or tender chicken, get to Outback Steakhouse. By XI NASCAR Select, the official battery of NASCAR. And by First Plus Financial. At First Plus, we're working first for you.
Now, Ned, we're back in that situation. These guys are going to have to stop and top off, don't you think, so they can make it on one more stop?
Some of them will. Maybe not Mark Martin and Terry Labonte. How about it, Jerry?
Well, we know that Rusty Wallace couldn't have made it. He made it. He ran 49 laps and only had gas for 48 and a half of them, so he came down pit road just a moment ago and topped it off. He should be able to make it. The big question mark, what about his teammate, Jeremy Mayfield? He ran 49 laps, and he'd have to go 50 or 51, 52 to make it on one more stop. That's going to be awfully, awfully close. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry, I'm not sure Kenneth Starr could get fuel mileage information out of some of these teams right now, but I will tell you one team that's willing to talk about it, and that's Ricky Rudd's bunch. Bill Engel told me this morning, and if you saw NASCAR today and RPM today, you already know this. Rudd's car is certainly not the fastest one here, and now it's not even the fastest off pit road with that broken clutch pedal. But they do think they are going to get excellent fuel mileage today. They may be able to go 55 laps. He just stopped and topped off, so he's in pretty good shape right now as we work lap 149. Another story developing down here, Ernie Irvin just came to pit road. He got 2 left side tires and fuel. The only problem is he came 1 lap too early. Pit road was still closed.
Well, he'll have to go to the end of that longest line. It might pay him to come back in and top it off again right before we get started.
Now, we can explain this Jimmy Spencer situation. He took the caution flag in the pit area, but was still in the lead of the race at the time. So he was put up front behind the pace car. However, since then, he has come in to top off, and so he is no longer the leader. Mark Martin is.
I told him Mark pitted on 142, lap 142. Now we're at 150. So I guess he can make it on one more. He's got to run 54. He'd have to run 54 laps.
See, here's Jimmy Spencer's pit stall. It's only about 4 pit stalls from the start-finish line. We'll widen this camera out, and we'll show you where he was there where that guy's sweeping, and then he went out of the pits, and see right there, see that line across the racetrack? There you go, Benny. That is long run. There, that's the line. That's the start-finish line. It goes all the way across to the racetrack. And so he got there before Mark Martin did, and so that allowed him to continue to be the leader.
Yep. Very logically explained, Doc.
Well, how different things work even within the same team. Now, Jack Roush has a car leading the race. That is Mark Martin. We've already documented that he came in on lap 142, meaning he has to go 54 laps for that final stop. He can make it, no problem at all, on fuel there. Now, the problem is his teammate right behind him, Johnny Benson, who also pitted on that lap. Benson cannot make it. Based on their fuel calculations, they would be about 3 laps shy. So they're going to have to come back in and consider. They're talking about coming back in and topping it off now, as Kenny Schrader has made a decision to come back down pit road and top it off, so they can make it the rest of the way on one more stop. And we know that the 6 can go, the 26 can't.
Now,
And you see that damage to the right side of Johnny Benson's car? He got up, he stopped on the front stretch. NASCAR stopped he and Mark Martin because those guys had basically gotten a lap on the field. So they stopped him and let the field come back around and put them in position. He goes up there. He and Spencer started kind of jostling for that top position. Benson thought he should have been leading the race. He goes up, they made contact, and that's where he got the damage to the right side of the car was on the caution flag.
And I'll tell you, a fellow that got hurt by this situation that we're talking about here right now is Kenny Irwin. He was almost a lap down before they started making their pit stops. Okay, he made his pit stop, and he was still out in front of Mark Martin. But when Jimmy Spencer got back across that start-finish line, now Spencer had to go all the way down pit road and go out his normal pit road speed. Then Irwin would have been okay when the caution came out, but it got him a lap down.
And that puts him back in 22nd position, Kenny Irwin. Okay, before long, we should be going back to green. We'll take a break and be right back with more of the California 500.
Quickly, folks, this is exactly what I was talking about a moment ago with Johnny Benson and 23 Spencer. Benson goes up and boom, there's where the damage came to the right side of Benson's car. Green flag.
And Mark Martin is the leader now. Spencer made a pit stop.
Benson is second, then Mayfield, Gordon, and Ward Burton.
Three Ross cars running right together. The car in the middle is Ted Musgrave in the 16, and Nemechek is slow on the go. The whole field shooting by Joe Nemechek.
Well, we saw him lose positions earlier because he got up high on the racetrack. Could it be that again, or is there something wrong with the car?
I don't know. He's going pretty slow through that turn. Jerry, what's the problem?
He said right side tire for Joe Nemechek, and the Bell South crew goes scrambling back over the wall. If he didn't have any bad luck, you wouldn't have any luck at all. Joe Nemechek bringing the car down pit road. They're going to get a pry bar in case the car is completely on the ground. It's on the inner liner, we are told, as he comes down, and a crash on the racetrack.
Up in turn number 2, Derek Cope against the wall. And the caution is coming out again.
And Nemechek is going to go right on through the pits, wisely so, and that'll let him stay on the lead lap.
And here comes Vincent Musgrave, get a lap back. Mark Martin backed up now. His Ben's going to back off. Yes, he is, which lets Musgrave get that lap back.
Well, see, I remember something like that happening before at those team races at Michigan last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
A little teamwork going on here, but Derek Cope has crashed up in turn number 2.
And boy, let's hope that he is okay, because he's taken a couple of hard licks this year, particularly at Atlanta.
Yes. And then down in Texas just a couple of weeks after that.
That's right.
And the crew has gotten the right side out. And he did not run up Martinsville because trying to save those ribs. He cracked a couple of ribs.
We have the shot from the Pennzoil copter cam.
Right in the middle of the screen. Never see him on the outside. And he gets up too high, gets in the loose stuff, and just loses the back end, goes in. Bam! Slams that with the left side.
Morgan Shepherd's onboard camera.
Say a prayer that car doesn't come down in front of him, and he did, and he stayed right up against the wall.
And we see Cope walking across the racetrack.
Yep.
That's good.
You can see he's been shaken up a little bit, and of course nursing from the injuries sustained earlier, but he's told the crew that he is okay. He'll take the mandatory ride to the infield care center. Meanwhile, there are some that are coming down to top off. Jerry.
This is a huge break for a number of teams who want to come down pit road and top off that could not make it. Johnny Benson is among those who would love to see this caution come out, and indeed it did. Likewise, Jeremy Mayfield would have been very, very close. The Cheerios crew topping that car off. Right side tire going on that machine. Mayfield further up pit road. Kenny Schrader yet in another time to go up to Bill Weber.
Ward Burton probably couldn't have made it either, so he's getting fuel. He's got 4 scuffed tires, and he's on his way out.
Benson also pulling away.
And this is a huge break for Joe Nemechek. Remember, he was coming down pit road right when this happened. Now he gets to stop under the yellow flag and stays in the lead lap. Jerry?
Well, they've changed right side tires and left side tires. When the caution came out, Joe said it may not be a tire going down. All I know is the car wanted to spin sideways on the restart, so let's go ahead and put 4 on now that we got a yellow flag. But they're going to check the tires, and I'll let you know what they find.
Well, he does stay on the lead lap. There are 22 cars that are on the same lap as the leader, Mark Martin. As the cleanup continues now over in turn number 2 as a result of a crash involving Derek Cope. More Speed World coverage in a moment. The fourth caution of the afternoon is a result of a crash involving the 30 gum-out car of Derek Cope. It occurred up in turn number 2. We are still under caution as the cleanup continues in that area of the racetrack. 157 of 250 laps have been completed so far in the California 500 presented by NAPA. Welcome back to the California 500. Under our fourth caution of the day, let's take a look at the Bub race recap. Mark Martin, the current leader, has led 80 laps so far, the 158. 13 lead changes, 4 cautions, average speed almost 117. Here are the drivers that have led a lap. Mark Martin has led the most so far. Each of these, of course, picking up 5 bonus points. Off the track, well, Derek Cope and Dick Trickle. And then we have some drivers also out of the race. They include Kevin LePage, Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty, and Bill Elliott. The last 2 because of the wreck that we had in turn 2. Green flag is out once again. We're racing, and Mark Martin continues to lead. Now Jeff Bodine is in second position.
Kenny Walsh, the Square D car, trying to get a lap back. I'm not sure that he and Mark Martin didn't make contact. And you ever see Rusty Wallace battling Jeff Bodine for second place? Here comes Jeff Gordon.
He moves to the inside of Robert Presley. He's a lap down in 24th.
And then to the inside of Jeff Bodine, takes over the 4th position. And Nemechek
sliding through the grass here in the Tri-Oval in front of the paying crowd, and the bad luck that Joe has had this afternoon continues. There'll be no caution, Jerry.
And no caution indeed comes out. Nemechek slow here in the front stretch. You know, he came in and pitted a moment ago and said the car got sideways on the restart. Thought he had a tire going down. They changed all 4, and there wasn't a tire going down. They said it might be buildup on the tires, but apparently something else is wrong with the 42 as he is now very slow on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he's catching up and getting back up to speed, but he took a long slide through the grassy area here in the Tri-Oval.
Well, he's down on the inside of Ted Musgrave, and there he loses it. Couldn't correct it. He tries to correct it, but she just heads down into the grass, and around she goes.
The roof flaps pop up, keeping the car on the ground. Nemechek does a 360 and drives away. Meanwhile, on the track, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Gordon. Now it's a good battle for second.
Nemechek is 20 seconds behind out there running by himself. Gordon's car is really good on new tires, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But in about 15, 20 laps, when someone gets around him and starts to get in that DuPont Chevy loose, and they just drive under him.
Jeff Gordon has had 4 top 10 finishes in the last 5 races. And he looks to the inside of Rusty Wallace in the second corner.
Gives him a good run off that corner. He should make the pass going into turn 3.
Rusty's been pretty strong on an outside groove. Is he going to contest Gordon? Looks like it.
Wow. When Gordon smashed that accelerator, he just took off, didn't he?
Now Jeff will look toward the only other driver ahead of him, and that is Mark Martin.
Now, what's going to happen when the 2 car pulls up behind the 24 down in the corner?
Terry Labonte has moved up to 4th position. Just taking a look at his day. Started 9th, was down as low as 19th, has been as high as 2nd. Right now in 4th.
He was definitely one of those drivers that is the fuel mileage field was going to work for him.
There's a 5th place car, Jeff Bodine.
up to the contention area. He's in 5th right now. He has spent 23 laps back in the 21st or worse category, 63 laps. He ran 80 laps in the 11th to 20th positions, 10 to the 6th to 10th, and now is in the top 5.
And those 9 laps that he ran now are the last 9 laps that he's run.
Well, he was the only Bodine that came out without a scratch on Friday, as both Brett and Todd had problems. Up and down in the point standings. Ernie Irvin has gained 4 positions right now. Brett Bodine down 5. Chad Little is back up to 16th in the points at this moment.
Jeremy Mayfield working his way back forward. He's now up to 9th spot. Put Rudd back to 10th. We saw Jeff Gordon and Mark Martin just a moment ago. The last couple of laps, Gordon has run faster than Mark Martin.
Those dark clouds that are hovering over the racetrack here now, and no part of this racetrack is under sun.
Take a look now where the rookies are running. Kenny Irwin the best at 25th. Kevin LePage back in 40th is out of the race. And Nadeau is in 33rd. Steve Park, of course, continuing to be on the sidelines as a result of his crash in Atlanta.
You talked about Chad Little moving up in the point standings there a moment ago to watch Jeremy Mayfield. Chad was one of the big benefactors a while back in the confusion that we thought was the confusion there after the caution came out and Jimmy Spencer was on pit road. Chad Little, remember, we talked about him being a lap down at one time. Well, he got back on the lead lap in that situation. Don't know.
The emergency alert system has been activated. Please tune to Channel 8 for further details. Please tune to Channel 8.
Okay, so that did get him back in the lead lap.
He is in 6th position. We talked about the bad luck that the Roush cars have encountered throughout the year. Let's take a look at where they're running right now. Martin, of course, 1st. They've got Little in 6th, Burton in 7th, Benson 14th, and Musgrave 21st. There is Mr. Roush looking over his assembled multitude. So Mark Martin is out ahead of Jeff Gordon by about 3/4 of a second as 168 laps have been completed.
This June, ESPN, ESPN2, and ABC will bring you every minute of the world's biggest sporting event. The stars, the skills, the passion, and the emotion. Live coverage from France of all 64 games of World Cup '98. It begins June the 10th. The biggest sporting event in the world. How about that?
You got me convinced. Right now, only thing on my mind, can Mark Martin stay up there? Can Jeff Gordon catch him? Right now, Mark Martin, I said that Jeff Gordon was running faster laps than now. After these few laps on the green flag situation, the car, Mark is running a little bit faster than Jeff Gordon.
Ricky Rudd may not have a clutch pedal, but he's got a fast race car.
That's 9th spot he's trying to take over. But unfortunately, he has to make one more pit stop, and that's going to cost him a great deal when he makes that stop.
He's trying to make up as much as he can on the racetrack. John Kernan, meanwhile, has a report on Jimmy Spencer, the guy that Rudd is racing with.
Well, as Ricky tries to take away that 9th spot away as they go into turn number 1, Spencer has lost several positions over the last few laps. That's because about 5-10 laps ago, he radioed in and told the crew the car had picked up a really bad push. Every time it goes into the turn, front end wants to head up to the wall, so he's got to get on the brakes, and that's slowing his lap times down. And he has dropped back now to the 10th spot.
These guys are about 12 seconds behind the leader, Mark Martin.
Make that 11th as as Ernie Irvin passes by. Now Johnny Benson is down to his inside.
Remember, Johnny Benson was running in second spot, or third spot, I guess, when the caution flag came out and decided to go in the pits and get enough fuel to be assured that he could make it on one more stop.
And those are the two cars that bumped under caution.
No bumping here, though. Benson goes right on by and takes the position.
Bumping at 55 miles per hour is one thing. At 155 is another thing.
Boy, you got to take your hat off to Darrell Waltrip. 13th in that #1 car on the right of your screen.
DW.
Still racy, isn't he?
I'm telling you. Check your speeds out this time by. We see Mark Martin, 178.2, a full mile per hour faster than Jeff Gordon. And Jeff Gordon, the second fastest one.
Jeff Burton will be the third fastest that last lap. And right now it is Mark Martin in command of this race. It's the 18 car of Bobby Labonte, who has slid back to 21st position.
Yeah, he's about 20 seconds, about a half a lap behind Mark Martin, and that's really not characteristic of Bobby Labonte and the Joe Gibbs Interstate Batteries car.
That's a great starting spot. You see where he started in 7th there. We see Benson trying to go by Ernie Irvin on the outside, and he makes it another problem. So put him up into the 11th spot.
And Waltrip is trying to get by Jimmy Spencer.
Spencer's car continues to push up a little bit. Waltrip trying to take advantage of it.
Did you know about Jimmy Spencer's great ability with the harmonica? No, I didn't know. Well, he's apparently playing at this Winston pit stop thing that's at every racetrack, and has a heck of an ability on that area. Let's get an update on the 18 car from Bill Weber.
Well, they're very concerned here in the Interstate Batteries pit. They believe Bobby Labonte has indeed dropped the cylinder. On the very first lap of this race, Labonte's throttle hung. And it looks like that engine's really beginning to go now. The smoke's starting to pour out. But on the very first lap of this race, the throttle hung open on Labonte's car. He over-revved the engine twice, shifting gears. He babied it for the next few laps to find out if it was going to be okay. It was. They were hoping it was going to last, but now it doesn't look like it will.
Well, Labonte has had a real good string going here. In the last 6 races, he's had 3 top 10s, including 2 victories. Including last week, of course, at Talladega.
Jeff Bodine and Chad Little, these guys have been doing this for about the last 5 or 6 laps. This is a battle for the 5th spot.
Chad has tried every trick that he knows to try to get around Jeff Bodine, but Jeff Bodine's been doing this longer than Chad has, so he knows all of those tricks and knows how to abort them.
Chad Little started back in 40th position. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, Mark Martin continues to stretch out the lead. It's now about 3 seconds over Jeff Gordon, and he's about to put a lap on Joe Nemechek.
And we see, look at Mark Martin, 40.4, 40.4. How consistent he is. And unfortunately for Jeff Gordon, he's pretty consistent, but consistently slower than Mark Martin as well.
So Mark Martin just put a lap on Joe Nemechek, running in 22nd position. 21 cars now on the lead lap. In 21st spot is Bobby Labonte. 181 of 250 laps have been completed. Everything going Mark Martin's way at the moment, but still a lot more racing to go. We'll be right back.
California Speedway is the site. The California 500, the event. NASCAR Winston Cup Racing. It's very cool here in Southern California. As you can see, there's quite a cloud cover. I don't think there's any rain imminent, but it has been a very cloudy day here in the Los Angeles area. Now, Mark Martin has already clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps here this afternoon. It's the 3rd time in 1998 that Mark has done so.
No other driver has led the most laps more than one race.
And
his advantage over second place Jeff Gordon, 3.5 seconds, and the 43 car slowing down.
Well, you wonder if he might have slipped just a little bit. Sterling Marlin went by, and now Michael Waltrip. This will be fourth position. Trying to go over the fact Sterling Marlin moved into 19th.
Now we see Jeremy Mayfield is making his march back to the field. He's just about caught Chad Little. He's currently in 7th spot. Chad Little is 6th. We see Jeff Bodine, the Phillips car, is in 5th.
So a three-car battle here.
John Deere sponsorship and the mobile sponsorship on Jeremy Mayfield's car.
Apparently John Andretti just slid up the racetrack a little bit, got in the loose, had to back out and lost some positions, but the car is apparently okay. Slid back to 19th, however.
And Jeff Burton we see back there just a few car lengths behind Jeremy Mayfield. He's the 8th place, so we've got 4 cars fairly close to each other.
Yeah, Jeff has closed in on these 3 recent laps. Jeff Burton had a bad race last weekend at Talladega, losing 6 point positions, falling down to 16th.
He's gaining on these 3 cars right now. Currently in 8th.
Chad Little wiggle just a little bit. Jeremy knows that when he sees that car wiggle, he says, all I got to do is get behind him, run behind him, and pretty soon he'll have to let me go by.
Those little wiggles can really sometimes become biggies.
You know, used to with bi-spot tires, we'd see that wiggle. It wouldn't be too much. But with the radial tires, when you see a wiggle like that, that's very, very close to problems with that driver.
Look at the Fords. 1st, 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
8, 9, and 10. And Ernie Irvin is Pontiac in 11th.
On NASCAR today, I asked Benny whether we were going to hear a lot of complaining from a manufacturer as a result of this race, and he said, well, maybe. I think we will. Jerry?
Well, the same strategy that may have won Jeff Gordon the California 500 a year ago may actually take it away from him this year. They have told him to conserve fuel, and by doing so, he just lost 2nd spot to Rusty Wallace. Now, Gordon pitted on lap 139. He did not come in and top the car off during the previous caution flag. So he would have to go 111 laps total on 1 pit stop. So that means to divide that in half, he has to go 56 laps to his next pit stop. The most they thought they could go would be 55. They're going to roll the dice this time and see if he can possibly make it to lap 195. That would be cutting the distance in half and then making it the rest of the way.
And that would be about 4 1/4 laps from right now. We're about to complete lap number 191.
There's a lot of those laps that were run on the caution flag, so you'd think that well, they should be able to make it.
Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Bodine are your top 5. 6 through 10, Chad Little, Jeremy Mayfield, Jeff Burton, Johnny Benson, and Ricky Rudd. Just 2 of the top 10 are Chevys. The rest are Fords. We'll be back with more in the California 500 in just a moment.
Back at the California 500, the final round of pit stops leads off with Jeff Gordon on lap 194. He made it 55 laps. By that distance, he could probably make it the rest of the way. Right side tires already gone on. They made a slight air pressure adjustment to try to tweak the car to get it a little bit tighter. Getting it completely full of fuel. Gordon is down and away.
You see at the top of your screen, Bobby Labonte has been in the pits for several laps with the hood up on the Interstate Batteries Pontiac. So his engine problems apparently have multiplied here now.
Well, we're on lap 196, and Jeff Gordon has made what he hopes will be his final pit stop in the afternoon. And on the racetrack, Mark Martin has an 8.5 second advantage on Rusty Wallace.
And Jeff Gordon, should the caution flag come out right now, would be a lap down to Mark Martin. But I don't see it waving, so Mark is going to have to make a pit stop fairly soon.
And look at the interval that he has opened up over 6.8 seconds on lap 190, and it's now up to over 8 on 194.
Getting an average of about a half a second a lap, it looks like. And boy, his car is just so good, so smooth.
And that 41.2 you see from Mark Martin, I'm sure was a lap that he passed a slower car.
And we've got a great battle back here among Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, Chad Little, and Jeff Gordon. Gordon, remember, is not on the same lap as these guys because he has just made a pit stop. But he is hoping the car will go the rest of the race without any more fuel.
Jeff Gordon caught a tough break on that situation. When he came back out of the pits, he caught this group of cars and was right in the middle of them. And you see he's having a race with Chad Little. He just passed the other car. If he had been about 2 seconds sooner and been in front of these cars, it probably would have saved him by about 2 seconds before it's over with.
It's going to cost him time and actually will cost him a little bit of fuel racing with them there as well. But he feels, I guess, comfortable as far as the fuel situation is concerned. Certainly with those 2 tires, he's able to pass them fairly easy.
On board with Jeremy Mayfield. Chad Little is up ahead. Joe Nemechek is headed down pit road for a stop, Jerry.
And what should be the final pit stop for the Bell South Chevrolet. He jams the brakes on, smokes the tire, slides it to a halt. They back the car up slightly. That will cost them about 3.5, 4 seconds. They finally get the jack under the right side. Right side tires going on Nemechek. And by the way, they had just called Mark Martin to come in this time. So our leader should be making a pit stop as he peels off and will be headed down pit road at 55 miles an hour. Martin has said the car is still a little bit too tight. So they have made a half a pound of air pressure adjustment in the right rear. Nemechek is away. Our leader coming in with 50 laps to go. It'll be lap 200 this time by. And the 12 goes by the 97. Mayfield going by Chad Little as you come back to the pits now and watch the speedy pit work of the Valvoline crew. Right side tires, they scrub the windshield. Left side tires, they've got to get it completely full of gas as Jeff Bodine comes down pit road for his final pit stop. The Valvoline crew getting the lug nuts on, waiting. It's full of gas. He is down and away.
Jeff Bodine comes in for his stop.
See the right side's going on that car? Looks like a right side only. They're waiting for the fuel to be jacked up. Right side only. Rusty Wallace at the very top of your screen.
Great pit stop for Rusty Wallace.
Ernie Irvin has just completed his stop. So John Andretti coming into the pits there as Irvin goes out of the pits.
The 12 car of Jeremy Mayfield picks up the lead once again.
Remember, he stopped on that last caution flag to top off for fuel to be assured he can make it on one more stop.
Ricky Rudd is in the pits now, also in the Tide Ford, and we've talked about the clutch problem that he has. It'll be interesting to see how he's able to get out of the pits. You see they're having to push him out, putting the gas in as they go along. Not too bad, really, guys.
I was amazed how well he's able to get out of the pits.
Yes, sir. Now here comes Rusty and Gordon.
Writing a letter, Benny?
No. Just a mistake.
Here is the leader of the race, Jeremy Mayfield.
So now, with him being the leader before Jeff Gordon was a lap down, after he made his pit stop. But now he's out in front of Jeremy Mayfield, and because he comes out now, it wouldn't hurt either of these guys that bad because they are in the lead lap as they race side by side. And Mayfield now coming into the pits.
Good side-by-side battle there between Rusty and Jeff Gordon. Meanwhile, Jerry Punch, more pit stops being made.
I'm told they may roll the dice here in the Mayfield pit. Watch for 2 right side tires only. Jeremy Mayfield, his 121st career start, trying to get his first Winston Cup victory. Gas, gas, gas. Trouble with the right rear. Now the second can of gas going in. Only the right side tire. Jeff Burton then further up pit road, and Bill is there.
It's only for the NAPA Pontiac and also for the one car of Darrell Waltrip.
The 99 car of Jeff Burton in and out.
You know, Vinny, we saw a situation there with the Mayfield car. They kept the jack up in there, and they're trying to get it full of fuel. You know, if it's on the left side, that would be great. You get more fuel in it. But the reason they did that, the signal for the driver to go, is when the car, when the jack lets down and it hits the ground, so they didn't get quite as much fuel in it as they could have.
Well, Johnny Benson now picks up the lead, but he'll need a stop before too long. Indeed, here he comes in right now, followed by Chad Little. John Kernan is there.
And Chad Little is in. We're anticipating a 2-tire change, a right side only. Now they only have 45, 46 laps to go to the end. Will be no problem on fuel for Chad. Second can of gas going in, waiting for the catch can, man. They're telling that it's full. Yes, it's full. He's down the way to Jerry Punch.
Johnny Benson in the Pop Secret Ford cars trying to get his first Winston Cup win in his 71st start. Right side tires only. They clean the windshield. You will see Chad Little go by in the car number 97. Now they will put left side tires on the car number 26. Left front, left rear. They're trying to get it completely full of fuel. He stalls it, now refires it. He is down and away.
And so with the pit stop of Benson, the lead goes back to, I believe, Mark Martin. Yes, indeed. Mark has the lead again. We may have seen the final round of pit stops here in the California 500. 205 laps completed. Worldwide leader in sports, bringing you auto racing coverage this afternoon from California. You're watching the leader Mark Martin from the Pennzoil Copter Cam, hovering high above California Speedway in Fontana, about 45-50 miles east of Los Angeles. There's all kinds of things going on www.nascar.com. That's the official website of NASCAR. Among other things, they have an online chat every week. Lake Speed was the driver last week, and if you log on tomorrow, you can find out who the guest will be on Tuesday for the online chat session. www.nascar.com.
Well, this is the view that Mark Martin had last year. He was leading the race. Nobody in front of him, nobody real close behind him. But he had to come in for fuel. What, the last 5 laps?
Yep. Meanwhile, the best battle on the racetrack is for 6th position between number 7, Jeff Bodine, and 97, Chad Little. It looks like Chad is about to get the 6th spot.
They've been racing for over 100 miles. And finally, Chad was able to get around Jeff.
Remember, Jeff didn't make the race last week at Talladega. He started 26th today. Best finish of 98, a 5th at Nottingham. Randy LaJoy in trouble here in the tri-oval area. The car down in the grass.
Caution is out.
So.
Well, that takes away all the suspense as far as anybody's fuel is concerned, because they'll be able to come in now, and it wipes out that good lead that Mark Martin had.
There's only 38 laps to go in this race as Randy LaJoy gets the car out of the grass and back onto the racetrack. LaJoy was running 26th when the incident occurred.
He's got some pretty serious problems with that Budweiser Chevrolet.
Here comes Mark Martin down to get the caution flag.
And Gary Bradbury wisely just accelerates by and beats Mark Martin down to the line.
So he was 2 laps down. Now he'll only be 1. There's LaJoy spinning around, just coming off of turn 4. He must have hit the wall on the outside before he did that, because the car is not tracking. We'll take a look from his in-car. See. There it is.
You can see those cars flashing by and coming so close to Randy.
We saw the car loose up in the high stuff. Now, what caused him to get up there? No idea. Don't know if one of the tires had gone flat to do that.
We have some debris on the racetrack.
By the time LaJoy gets back, there'll be even more debris.
All right, let's take a look from Rusty Wallace's view.
Ooh, Bobby Hamilton just barely got by back there also.
Yep.
I would imagine we're going to see pit stops, changing 4 tires, and putting just enough gasoline in, or maybe these cars need a full tank of gasoline to make them handle better.
I would imagine they would fill them up.
Because as you burn the fuel off, these cars have a tendency to pick up a push. As the back end gets light, the front end starts pushing.
Jeff Gordon is coming in, but everybody else staying out.
Well,
so he's going to top off, and looks like Johnny Benson is also going to make a pit stop. We have several now coming down pit road, but those who are running up in the top 4 or so did not choose to come in for a pit stop this time. Back with more from the California Speedway after these messages. California 500 live here on ESPN Speed World from California Speedway, being brought to you by Everstart Batteries and Walmart. It all starts here. By Team Monte Carlo, Chevy, the cars more champions trust. And by the more than 1,900 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. Still under caution here at California because of an incident up in turn number 4 involving Randy LaJoy. He's back in the garage area with the crew going to work on it. We'll be going back to green before too long. In the meantime, another break. Back in a moment. One more lap. We'll be going back to green and resuming the California 500 presented by NAPA. Reminder that later tonight on ESPN, it's Sunday Night Baseball as the White Sox take on the Angels not too far from here over in Anaheim. Check it out. Action comes your way at 8 o'clock Eastern Time tonight on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Jerry Punch.
Ray Evernham talking to his driver, Jeff Gordon, and one of the things they're discussing is the fact that, Ray, you guys really had no choice. You had to pit with a push like that. You probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, Jerry, that's exactly right. We were gambling on a lap, and we could have made a lap if the car had stayed free, and we could have drafted Rusty, but the car got extremely tight. We were using up a lot of fuel, and we were losing the draft on Rusty, so it's just better to pit and come in and take what we can get.
Do you have a shot now with so few laps left?
Well, I don't think we had a shot at that mark in the 2 and the 12 anyway, but hopefully we got a shot at getting up inside the top 10. We'll see.
All right, Ray Evernham said they had to pit, or they wouldn't have made it on field. They'd have been about 3 or 4 laps shy because of that serious push coming off.
And the stop has put Jeff back in 13th position for the restart. There are still 20 cars on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap is Kenny Schrader, and the car first down a lap is Kenny Irwin Jr. in 21st position.
And he's going to start right in beside of Mark Martin, and let's see if he tries to get his lap back as we get ready to restart this race.
And green. Don't pass before the stripe. Do not pass before the stripe.
You see Kenny Irwin not able to get that lap back on Mark Martin. Rusty Wallace is second. We see the Jeremy Mayfield car is third. Terry Labonte is fourth. Jeff Bodine is fifth.
Followed by Chad Little. Darrell Waltrip running in 7th position. Jeff Burton, Ward Burton, and Ernie Irvin complete the top 10. Then it's Ricky Rudd, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, Johnny Benson,
DW's under the 97 car. Chad Little trying to take the spot away. Can't do it. He's closed in behind the lap car of Robert Presley.
Darrell Waltrip had his best finish of 1998 last weekend at Talladega. He was 15th, and right now having his best race of 98. Last time he had a top 10 finish was at Pocono last June. Darrell Waltrip. And he's feeling racy, isn't he?
It's a good race car today and has driven it well.
Michael Waltrip rushed the wall in turn 4.
I'll go down, Michael. Best thing, you don't want to go down turn 1 and that right front tire will be flat.
He was one of those 20 cars on the lead lap.
Here it is again.
There we see him coming off the corner. Just gets a little bit too high. Probably picked up a push. Got that loose stuff. And hit the wall pretty doggone hard. Hey, hit it again. Yep.
Whoa, 3 wide down the backstretch as Gordon tries to find his way to the front again.
I should put him in about 8th or 9th spot.
8th spot for Jeff Gordon. He's on the move. But we only have 29 laps to go. Still 3 wide here in the tri-oval. Check up high again. Wiggle thought he was going to lose it. He didn't.
In 3 abreast back there, Sterling Marlin. Kenny Schrader's in the middle. John Andretti. Schrader and Andretti battling for position. Now it's on the 40 car.
16th, 17th, and 18th.
And Musgrave is in that group as well.
The action is, folks, up front. They're singled out, not close together, but here they are definitely racing for position.
Battle for 16th there between Schrader and John Andretti. Andretti dropping in behind Schrader in front of Ted Musgrave.
Back in 43rd spot, and there he is up in 8th place, right in front of Jeff Gordon.
He was right in front of me, 12th place on this restart. Gordon was 13th, and so he has stayed in front of Gordon and picked off the same card that Gordon has, and that's what the weightless team is running.
Not only did he start dead last, but he was involved in that big crash up in turn 2.
Right.
Damaged the car extensively in the back end. You can see some cake flapping back there now.
Jeff Gordon. Now, he has Jeff Burton right behind him trying to take the 9th spot away from him.
In case you weren't with us earlier in the show, Bill Elliott in another very hard and fiery crash. He walked away, however, was airlifted to Loma Linda Medical Center for a checkup. He appeared to have no serious injuries.
Kyle Petty was also involved in that crash. He's okay.
Guess we should pay more close attention to Rusty Wallace, who is catching up to Mark Martin. The interval is down to less than 3/4 of a second.
And the last lap, the 12 car, Jared Mayfield, ran faster than either one of them.
Mark has led the most laps and has been the car to beat so far, but it looks as if these 2 cars here, running 2nd and 3rd of Wallace and Mayfield, may make it a challenge. Take a look at the point standings as of now with the First Plus Financial Field summary. Earnhardt gains 2, Spencer 2, Bobby Labonte down 2, Schrader up 1 if points were awarded right now. Cars involved coming out at turn number 4, and it involved a group of cars that we were watching race: Ken Schrader, Sterling Marlin, Jimmy Spencer, John Andretti. Jerry Nadeau also involved.
Steve Grissom is also involved. We see him up high against the wall.
So Mike Dillon go down pit road to avoid it all.
There's Jerry Nadeau. Not a lot of damage, but some damage to the right rear of that car. Here they come off the line. Mark Martin still in front. Rusty Walsh will have to settle for second spot. Just hope there wasn't debris up there. Let's see if we can see what happened. There we see Spencer. Is that Ward Burton on the inside? As Ward Burton comes up, and we see Spencer just touch the 41 car. Around he goes. Spencer nails the left front. These other cars just nowhere to go. Wow. Musgrave had nowhere to go, ran in the side of the 33 car.
About 5 of those drivers were on the lead lap.
Once again, never see Ward Burton. Now Spencer comes off the corner, just touches the 41 car, just enough to spin him. The 26 car, Vincent just barely misses that wreck.
Yeah, he's got to look up in his rearview mirror and say, man,
Yep.
got through that okay.
Looks like Ted Musgrave may have gotten up on 2 wheels here. Take a look at it again. There's the contact.
But watch Musgrave. There he is. Yeah, he did get up on 2 wheels because the left side sparked when it drug the racetrack. John Andretti, victim. Sterling Marlin, I don't know that Sterling hit anything. Is that him still moving down there?
Yeah, he drove on out through the grass, it looked like, and drove away from it.
What Morgan Shepherd would have seen had he looked up in the mirror, if he did.
Shepherd was ahead of the crash as it was occurring back off of corner number 4. Here's what has put us under caution at California Speedway. A big crash up in turn number 4. We'll be right back. John Andretti is in, and the crew is trying to salvage that car and get it back out there. Ward Burton also in. Bill Weber.
Well, Ward Burton on the lead lap, but not among the leaders. He's got nothing to lose. His brother also on pit road. For Ward, 4 tires and fuel, and he's back on his way.
The Irvin also stopped. There's they come down pit road. That's Ernie leading Ward down pit road.
Jeff Burton pulling out. John Andretti still sitting in the pits, as is Ken Schrader and Joe Nemechek. The track crew is here on the front stretch, cleaning up the debris that was put down by this multi-car accident that was triggered when there was contact between Grissom and Spencer.
The right front corner of Jimmy Spencer just hits the left rear corner of Steve Grissom, and the 26 car gets by. David Green gets by, but Kenny Schrader and Ted Musgrave and Jerry Nadeau, they don't get by.
We'll watch this crash from our speed shot and start-finish line, and some of these cars will probably almost make it to the camera. See Schroeder going on by.
A lot of damaged race cars out there. Jimmy Spencer pulling out onto the racetrack after another visit to pit road. Well, we've only got 20 laps to go, and now Dale Earnhardt, who started last, is up to 8th position. How about that? As low as 41st after the start of 43rd. And now he is at his highest, or almost the highest position of the afternoon. He has been in 7th position, but right now he is in 8th. Well, coming up after our coverage of the California 500 presented by NAPA, you'll get all the latest from the world of baseball on Baseball Tonight. That's up next after our coverage. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, and John Kernan back with you at California Speedway for the closing laps of the California 500. We're under caution because of a big wreck down in turn number 4 that involves several cars, including Jimmy Spencer and John Andretti and Ken Schrader and Jerry Nadeau and others. However, it looks like we may be going back to racing here before too long. 232 laps will be completed when the cars cross the line this time, so 18 laps will remain. It is Mark Martin leading over Rusty Wallace, Jeremy Mayfield, Terry Labonte, Jeff Bodine, Chad Little, Darrell Waltrip, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Ricky Rudd. 16 cars remain on the lead lap. Johnny Benson, Sterling Marlin, Jeff Burton, Ernie Irvin, Ward Burton, and Ken Schrader also shown on the lead lap.
Let's see if we can raise Mark Martin, see what his thoughts are here with just 18 laps to go. Mark Martin, this is Benny Parsons up at ESPN. You read me?
Yeah, Benny.
18 laps to go, about 17 when you get to green, or 16. What about those guys behind you?
We'll give it our best shot here. You know, these things aren't over till they're over. We've got a good car with the Valvoline Thunderbird, the Valvoline Taurus today, so we'll just see what happens here. Sure has been smooth sailing for us today.
How about this sun that's come out now? Is that going to create any problems for you?
It hasn't so far, Benny. So, you know, I've got a good car.
Good luck to you.
He does have a good car. There's no question about that.
As all afternoon.
Jack Roush sitting there, and you know, after he lost this race last year, Jack Roush went to work and he said, we're not going to get beat on fuel mileage again. And they won a couple of races after that on fuel mileage.
Yep, they sure did. Okay, return with us in just a moment for the restart. Yep. Want to remind you about baseball tonight coming up after the conclusion of our race. And don't forget the Sunday night baseball game between the White Sox and the Angels coming up at the top of the hour. We have 16 laps to go in this one with Mark Martin at the front of the field. And the lights atop the pace car, as you can see from Mark's onboard camera, are extinguished. We are set to go back to racing.
Presented by NAPA is going to turn out to be
Well, you can just tell by listening to Mark Martin's tone when I talked to him just a moment ago. He's just studying one thing, beat those guys to lap 250.
These guys are going to have a great run.
Concentrating on the job at hand. It's Kenny Irwin running in 17th position to the inside of Mark Martin. 16 cars on the lead lap as we go back to racing. It's a 16-lap shootout, and Rusty Wallace comes on to challenge Mark Martin.
He dove to the inside. I thought he was going to take a look. Now, as he come off the corner, Mark pulls away from about a car length, but Rusty Wallace is right there.
This thing is not over. Mark has had a good car all afternoon, but so is Rusty. And don't count out Mayfield or Terry Labonte.
They're third and fourth. Jeff Bodine is still fifth, right on Labonte's back bumper.
It's a Penske afternoon. We're competing at Rogers' beautiful facility here in California, and his cars are running in second and third position.
They get racing each other. Mark Martin would love to look up in his rearview mirror and see them running side by side.
Rusty Wallace started the season with 5 straight top 5s. He has not had a top 5 in the last 4 races. Oh, the 1 and the 3. Waltrip and Earnhardt get close.
He's driving Earnhardt's car, that one. Here comes Jeff Gordon trying to get on the inside of Earnhardt. 3 wide. That's for 8th spot. Darrell's in 7th.
Darrell's going to come out ahead in that whole deal. Well, that's a good way to impress the ball. Sound running. Yeah.
See Gordon come off the corner. He gets a good bite, but not enough to squeeze up in front of Dale Earnhardt. Now Earnhardt's really coming back on the straightaway.
Every position on the racetrack means points. Jeff Gordon up 1 position to 4th place in the point standings. Mark Martin up 1 at the moment.
And if he can pass Dale Earnhardt, that's 4 more points than he would earn.
Earnhardt has moved up a couple of spots in the points. Awarded right now.
Mark Martin's pulled out to about a half-second lead on Russell. Here comes Jeff Gordon. Once again, he's got that run. Meanwhile, in front of him, Darrell Waltrip is closed in on Chad Little.
Jeremy Mayfield has taken second from Rusty, and appears as Rusty is slowing down.
Yes, he does seem to be slowing now. I don't know. Let's see. Has he lost the cylinder? Because it looks like he hasn't knocked the power off the straightaway.
He loses third position to Terry Labonte. Something's wrong.
I would say that he has lost the cylinder.
Wow. Meanwhile, behind him, Chad Little, Jeff Bodine battling. Rusty Wallace. There we see Chad Little goes by, takes that spot. That's fifth.
Chad Little having a great run. He finished second at Texas earlier this year. Here's Bill Weber.
The Miller crew tells me they have lost a cylinder in Rusty's Ford. So that will obviously hinder him down the stretch here.
Oh, sure will. Meanwhile, the question now is, can Jeremy Mayfield reduce the interval between himself and Mark Martin, which is 84 hundredths of a second at the moment, and win his first NASCAR Winston Cup race?
Well, he lost 9 hundredths of a second on that last lap, Bob. He was 75 hundredths of a second behind on the lap before. It looks like he's really getting off the turn, too. He's trying, and Rusty's just losing positions. DW picks up another position. Now he's trying to pick up another one, but going by Jeff Bodine.
Boy, this would put him in 5th place, and Waltrip does it.
Well,
not yet.
That's back off. Didn't have the line going in. Now he gets that acceleration, comes off the turn. He does take the position.
Jeff Gordon, he will move into 6th spot if he can get by Jeff Bodine.
Ooh, those cars get very close here in the tri-oval.
Yeah, they do.
Gordon takes away the spot. He's up to 6th now.
Meanwhile, Mark Martin gained another 500 or 600 a second on Jeremy Mayfield. Jeremy is going backwards instead of forwards right now.
9.5 laps to go. There's the interval between first and second. Almost a full second last time around. Mark Martin with the advantage over Jeremy Mayfield. There is Labonte. There is Little. There is Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Gordon.
And Ernie Irvin coming back up through there pretty good. He made a pit stop on that caution and was the last car next to the last car on the lead lap, and now he's back up to 11th.
Jeff Gordon begins to put some heat on Waltrip for that 5th spot. As of right now, Jeremy Mayfield is in the points lead for the first time in his career. And he also could be on his way to his best finish in a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Here is Gordon, and looks like he's taken over 5th spot from Darrell Waltrip.
Rusty is blown. He's in the pits. Lots of smoke coming from the car.
Yep. Boy, this is going to really hurt Rusty Wallace.
That's a tough break.
Yes, it is.
That's close to the end.
Yep.
Yeah, it's one thing like Dale Jarrett did early in the race. Of course, now, you know, DJ's going to finish 41st in the race, but then you go this long, and, you know, you got a top 5 in sight, and then shoot 45th. That's tough to swallow, but that's part of racing.
That's it. Now Jeff Gordon challenging Chad Little for that 4th position. Right on his rear spoiler.
7 laps to go. Oh, we see Chad gets a little loose.
Yes.
And when he gets loose, Gordon just turned under him.
Yeah, Jeff got him a little bit loose. He stuck the bumper of that Chevrolet right up under the back of that Ford, and he knows how to do that. Got him loose.
Now Darrell Waltrip closes in on Chad.
Here comes DW. Still going to have him in the top 5, looks like.
He's trying. Giving the position away. Now he'll have to as Waltrip goes into 5th.
Jeff Bodine is still running in the 7th spot.
Down to Bill Weber with Rusty.
Closing moments of the race. I know you're crushed, Rusty. What happened?
It blew an engine. I don't know if it dropped the valve or what it done, but it lost a cylinder about 5 5 laps to go, and then at the very end, it just let loose totally. So I don't know what it was.
No, that's going to be awfully disappointing.
Yeah, that was a bad loss for the points today. We were sitting there running second, and looks like we were going to finish second, gain some points again today. But boy, I tell you, we took a big hit today.
Okay, that's Rusty Wallace. He's done for today. Very disappointed now, obviously rooting for his teammate. They did have a moment after happy hour. They found some stuff in a filter in the engine, but they decided that they had the problem cured. Perhaps that problem was cured, but today, another ailment.
And the interval between first and second is remaining just about the same, maybe a little closer.
Yes, a little closer. Mark Martin had gotten up to over a second in front. Now it's dropped back down to 85 hundredths of a second. So Jeremy Mayfield is closing in a little bit. Whether Mark's just cooling it a little bit, don't know. But now it went back up to 98 hundredths of a second. So
there are less than 4 laps to go in the California 500. Baseball tonight coming up next before the game out at Anaheim. Earnhardt looking to the inside of Jeff Bodine, looking for 7th position after starting 43rd.
And right behind Earnhardt is Johnny Benson. They're 7th, 8th, and 9th together.
Ricky Rudd has had an afternoon of one problem after another, but he has persevered and is running 10th in the Tide car.
Look at Johnny Benson going up on the outside, trying to move around. Earnhardt looks like he's able to do it. Yep, he does.
So put Earnhardt up into the 8th spot.
We haven't said anything about Kenny Schrader. He's still out there. He was involved in that wreck, but he's still on the lead lap, running 15th. 15 cars are on the lead.
Benson right behind Jeff Bodine. Laps are running out. Next time by, there'll be 2 to go.
These cars are battling from look at Benson.
He ran through up on the outside when he went around Earnhardt. He said, hey, maybe this is the way to go. Let me try it around Bodine. And look at Wardburn trying to pass his brother, Jeff. Now, this is all 4 positions. Back to 10th, 11th, 12th. They're going at it.
They sure are. All these cars are fighting for position. But Mark Martin is having things his way.
He has a 9/10 of a second lead right now in Jeremy Mayfield.
The battle rages down the backstretch. Benson and Jeff Bodine are side by side. And the white flag is coming out for Mark Martin. 1 more lap to go for Mark. It's now a little over a second advantage that he has over Jeremy Mayfield. But again, Mayfield having his best race ever in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. His best career finish 3rd twice here in 1998 at Daytona and at Atlanta. He's running 2nd right now, and Mark Martin is at the end of the backstretch on the final lap. Mark Martin as the car in turns 3 and 4, looking for his 25th career win. He started in 3rd position this afternoon, comes home 1st, and wins the 2nd California 500. His 3rd victory of 1998. Let's watch this battle to the line.
Benson and Bodine down to the line, and it's going to be Bodine.
It was close, but I believe Bodine got him just by a nose, a short nose.
Mark Martin wins. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Well, Jimmy, something about last year you guys dominated Texas and this racetrack, but you didn't win the races. Now you've got the win there and a win here in the 2nd California 500. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you, when you got a driver like Mark Martin, it's unbelievable. And all the guys did a heck of a job. That Valvoline Cummins Ford Taurus is really good. And I got to thank Jack for the gas mileage.
Yeah, what about the gas mileage? I heard that the pressure might have been going down there that last lap.
Well, that one stop, the gauge fluctuated. We were going to pit the next time, and then Mark seen the gauge fluctuate, and as fast as we were, we says, come on, let's go.
All right, that's Jimmy Finning, Mark Martin's crew chief. He's headed to victory lane.
For the 3rd time this year, these guys have made that trip to victory lane.
He only won 4 in all of 1997. Here are the unofficial results. Notice that Mark Martin led the most laps, and the other drivers with yellow arrows indicate that they led at least 1 lap here this afternoon.
Here is 16 through 30, all of these cars at least one lap down. Spencer and Nemechek both leading a lap during the 250 circuits. And here's the remainder, with several of those at the bottom involved in the Elliott crash up in turn number 2.
And Dale Jarrett lost an engine today.
Mark Martin's 16th win on a super speedway. Here are the points. Jeremy Mayfield, for the first time in his career, is atop the NASCAR Winston Cup point standings, and this time he has a 36-point advantage on Terry Labonte, and Rusty Wallace has dropped all the way to 4th position in the point standings. To our McDonald's Winner's Circle interview.
Mark Martin still sitting in the race car. We're trying to get to him here. He's commented that the fuel pressure had fluctuated coming off turn 4. And Mark, as he gets a nice cold drink and a Gatorade towel, congratulations on an outstanding win today.
Man, I tell you what, I just want to thank everybody. Valvoline, Cummins, Eagle One, Ford Taurus, Goodyear had an awesome tire today. Bugles, Bosch, all their support, especially the guys who work on this car. They build some fast race cars, and this is just a dream come true to win this thing. One other thing, Matt, I love you. I wish you were here, buddy. And thank you, Roger Penske, and all you guys that have anything to do with California Speedway, because it is awesome.
Well, indeed, and so is Mark Martin, who has won at all the new racetracks. He won at Vegas, he won at Texas, and now he has won at California. We said yesterday in Happy Hour that Mark Martin would be mean when they waved the green, and indeed, he was today.
Just an outstanding performance by Mark Martin, and a great performance also on the part of Jeremy Mayfield. We have Kart FedEx Championship racing next Sunday from Rio de Janeiro. That's at 3:30 Eastern Time on ABC next Sunday afternoon. And, of course, ESPN2 and ESPN has coverage of the activity at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway beginning next Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time on the Deuce. Coming up next, baseball tonight, and then the Chicago White Sox and the Anaheim Angels at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Congratulations to Mark Martin, who wins here at the California Speedway and the California 500 presented by NAPA. We'll see you soon. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.